Two, hello. Hello. Check 2. Sibilance. 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 2. What's up, chat? How are you doing? Welcome back. Look at that. Monday, right out of the gate. On time. 12 at the latest. What have I been saying for... this is what I plan to stick to this. As you know, 12 at the latest. That's the philosophy. That's the philosophy about when this program begins. Hashtag 12 at the latest. And here I am right on the schedule. As always. As always. You can trust me to keep this up. We love to see it, Joe. What's up, Joe? What's up, Risk and Verse? Spaceman, Jay, Dr. Awesome, Random Lazy Lizards Lounge, Gwynny, Kira V. Who else do we got? Meow Mix, Plunger Man. I think that's all the shoutouts for now. It's early. There's still not many folks here, so... Low, not a huge number of shoutouts to have to get through there. How was your weekend, chat? How was your weekend? Kira V also done with the shoutouts. Okay. So we're both finished with that then. How are we doing? I worked 24 hours this weekend. That's way too many hours. That's way too many hours to work, I think. I think that's too much, Joe. Do you need me to talk to somebody? You need me to talk to your boss or whoever and straighten him out a little bit? $12 on Saturday, 12 on Sunday, at work again today. That's too much. I can, Joe. I'll call him up. Like, excuse me, sir or ma'am. I'm slightly well-known Twitch streamer and influencer, Rob Rousseau. Here, I'm gonna lay some things down for you here. I'm gonna lay some things down for you. All right. I'm gonna get this straightened out. I'm gonna get this whole situation straightened out, Joe. What do you do for your job, by the way? 60 hours since Thursday, says Random Lazy Lizards Lounge. It's a lot. It's a lot of hours. Obviously, as a Twitch streamer, I as we all know, I work the hardest, but, you know, like, I know other people have hardworking jobs too, so try to be mindful of that. You picking up what I'm putting down out there? Walk into your boss's office like Liam Neeson in Taken. That's right. Fresh and on time today, Shade Lotus. That's right. I cleaned up a little bit. I was getting a little scraggly. I'm fresh and on time and ready to go. Risk and Verse has got the streak going. That's good. I've got a very particular set of skills. I can like be really annoying, and I can psychologically manipulate you to join my non-cult, non-pyramid scheme community. That's my particular set of skills. I have all kinds of psychological manipulation tactics that I can employ at any time. At any time, chat. And I don't hesitate to do that. I should have said fresh and on time just like every other day. Exactly. As we were saying, 12 at the latest. That's when the show starts. Today, tomorrow, next week, next month, as well as yesterday and all the previous weeks as well. Hello, Barkley. Dakadoon, hello.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I don't know about you, but I'm not just a single issue voter.
Kev, thank you for the 12 months tier 1. That's one entire year, Kev. You got the 1 year sub badge. Very cool. Thank you, Kev, and hello to Blurp Blurp Blurg as well. Hello, Blurp Blurp Blurg. The gang's all here. My single issue is people not subbing to Rob Rousseau. Thank you, St. Lotus. That's also that's the main political issue that I'm interested in as well. That is politics to me. The single most important issue of our time. Called coalition building. Thank you. My single issue is Rob on time. Well, there we go. So that's why you keep tuning in, because that's what happens every day. Every single day I show up right on time, roll up the sleeves, grab the lunch pail, get ready to get down to business. We see you. And we hear you. I have 2 issues, the subbing to Rob Rousseau thing, but I also think people should sub to the Insurgents podcast. Yeah, that's also an important one. You know, some people got mad at the last episode. I wasn't on the last episode because I was busy. I was doing something, and I didn't make it on. The conversation with Alex Perlman, who I like. I see him on. I know him from TikTok. He's a very popular TikTok user. Some people got pretty heated in the comments about that. Which is something I think we're going to address on the next episode. Address some of the controversy. I don't have the luxury on not focusing on people subbing to Rob Rousseau. That's right. Thank you, St. Lotus. This is the kind of attitude that I like to cultivate here. Oh, it's Jay's birthday week. When's your birthday, Jay? Did it happen already and the week is ongoing? Or is it coming up? Coming up Thursday, Jay's birthday. Gotta remember to say something. How old are you turning, Jay? Are you a fellow elderly millennial? Turning 17. God. I think if there was ever any, I know there have been Zoomers that watch this show. I think we might have lost him, though, along the way. I really don't think there is. Maybe there might be. I really doubt it, though. Not enough shouting and flashing lights to keep the zoomers around. Come on, I got the lighting and everything. I got some lights. I shout a little bit sometimes. 17 in dog years. Dr. Awesome's turning 41 on the 17th. Great year. Great year. Look, I'm 41. Look at me. I'm spry. I'm youthful. There's nothing wrong with it. Not enough skibbity toilet, which is funny because there is some. Like, there is some skibbity toilet on here. As weird as that is for me as like an adult man, there is some sometimes, but I guess just not enough. You got to put Family Guy clips in the corner, maybe some Kinetic Sand videos. It's funny, I'm so easily influenced because there's this one like mobile game that sometimes now on TikTok you'll have like the side by side, and there's this mobile game about this like knife you control that chops through things, and I got influenced to purchase it and spend $5 on it, and it's actually very satisfying. I actually quite enjoy playing it. Which is funny because you have TikTok and you're scrolling that, so you have the TikTok video with the side by side of the mobile game, and then you can watch a film and you can have it in real life, and you're doing it in real life, you know, watching like The Godfather. But because you can't just sit and watch The Godfather, now you can do this in real life and spin the little knifey thing and do the slicey stuff. Not enough gooning content. That's the funny thing, because there's a lot of that, you know? There's a lot. The internet tells me I'm an exennial. Apparently there are micro generations. I might fall into that category. I'm 83. But I'm really not. I really don't think I'm Gen X, though. I'm really not Gen X. I've been on the internet like my whole life. I think that's one of the main things. I mean, not my whole life, obviously, but like from preteen to from the preteen to today. And I think that's a big difference. Oh, I definitely feel a partial connection, Kev. I certainly feel a partial connection, but I'm not about that life, though. Seeing Gen X slowly turn into boomers has been so sad. Yeah, I know. It is sad. Very refreshing Diet Coke. I'm Gen X, and I convinced my parents to put a phone line in my room so that I could have a modem for my Apple LLG. Did you also have one of those phones that was like clear? You know, those clear phones where you can see all the electronic parts inside? Did you have one of those, Plunger Man? My older brother had one of those, and I was like, oh man, being a teenager must be so cool. Look at that cool phone. In your room? Really? Oh my god. Thanks for reminding me I have a DC in the fridge. Let's go. Let's fucking go, Sunny Soul. Let's get this shit started. Let's get it rolling. Hell yeah. What a great way to start the day. I didn't really have any lunch, but I ate some donuts for breakfast, so... I'm still a little full from that. How many donuts? Just one, really. I had half of one and half of another kind. What kind of donuts? I got some crazy donuts the other day. There's this like off-brand Simpsons knockoff donut place. No, it's not Tim Hortons Super. I eat at Tim Hortons sometimes. I don't have a big problem with it, but no, it was not Tim Hortons. There's like a fancy donut place near where I live. It's called Homer's. And it's like Simpsons themed, but like not really. Like there's no pictures of the Simpsons, but it's like they're in the writing. Like the text, the font. And they have like those the Springfield donut with the Homer donut with the pink frosting and the sprinkles and stuff. So I went out and got a couple of those yesterday. So I have some leftover. So what did I have? This one. So I had one donut that's like cereal. It's like with icing and cinnamon toast crunch on top. I had half of one of those. And there's another one. It's like a kind of like tea biscuit. Is it? It's not biscotti. I can't remember the name, but it's like brown sugar, and it's got the little biscuit sticking out of the middle. It's not crumpets, no. But I had some of that as well. It was very rich, very heavy for breakfast. Have you ever had horchata? Yeah, I have actually, and it's tremendous. Tremendous. Oh. Anyway, I hope you had a nice weekend. I had a very nice weekend, honestly. I've had kind of a whirlwind last couple of weeks, to be totally honest. But it's been nice. I also was able to catch up on some sleep last night, which I had not been doing for quite a while. I went to sleep at like 10 p.m. last night. It had been many nights in a row of staying up very late and getting up early, to the point that I was like mentally losing it last night. I was trying to watch the Despicable Me 4 with my son. And I think we were both getting a little sleepy and cranky. So we ended up shutting it off, and I put him to bed, and I was asleep right away. I got to spend $5,000 fixing my car last week. Oh, that's wonderful, Jay. That's really wonderful. I love that for you. That sounds fantastic. That's the cost of freedom. The cost of freedom. I'm really thinking about right now whether I should get a car or not. I've really been trying to avoid it, but I'm starting to think that I might need to bite the bullet and get one. And you're not helping me make that decision. It's a very enriching opportunity for growth and development. Exactly. I mean, you get to contribute to the local economy. What's more exciting than that? What's more exciting than that? You get to contribute to the local economy. It's wonderful. They give me a 10% discount too. Well, you're basically robbing them. You're basically robbing them. If you get a car, I highly recommend getting a used one. That's probably what I would do. I don't have the kind of money where that's even an option for me to get a new car. It would be nice, but I don't think that's in the cards for me right now. I can see not having a car in Toronto or Montreal, but I need it anywhere else in the country. Yeah, and if it was just me living on my own, I would not need to have a car at all. But I have a kid. I'm a co-parent. I gotta commute with him. I gotta bring him to school, which is a little farther away this year. So I'm trying to see if I can do it using Communato, which is the Montreal service where you can kind of share a car and you can kind of use a car when you need one. I'm kind of trying to see how that can work, but I'm not sure. I'm a little unsure on how that is going to work. New car with 10-year loan. Hell yeah. And who even knows what's going to be going on in 10 years, you know? Maybe after 3 years, all of society will collapse. And you won't have to pay it back. So I was surprised at how great the Metro is there. So much better than TTC. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's great. Used Cybertruck. Exactly. If I needed a car in Montreal, I'd definitely consider Caminato. Absolutely. And if it was just me, that would be perfect. It would be perfect just to use the Metro and then use Caminato sometimes when you really need a car for something. If you need to go to the grocery store or like what have you. With the kind of commuting that I'm going to need to be doing, though, it's still a little unclear whether that's going to be sufficient. But I guess we're going to see. We're going to play it by ear. We're going to see how it goes. That's why I took out $70,000 in student loans. There we go. That's just smart. Just don't pay it back. It's easy. What are they going to do? What are they going to do if you just don't pay back your $70,000 in student loans? Nothing. Well, they might do some stuff. That's not real financial advice. But there's a lot of people in that boat. Like, I was looking at that video the other day of that TikTok of that guy that's just like, you might be wondering how I can afford this pool. Well, I financed a pool and I'm just not paying it back. That's how I'm doing it. And there was so many people in the comments being like, my parents just file for bankruptcy every 7 years. It's like, there's a lot of people doing this now. Just don't pay it. Up the Reds. Bonjour, Rob. I hope you had a bon weekend. It was a lovely weekend, honestly. It was really nice. Going to be paying off my student loans for decades. I'm sorry to hear that. There's a guy named Donald Trump who's done that at least 4 times. Yeah, word is he's orange as well. I heard a rumor that this man was orange. Finding out money isn't even real is pretty freeing in a few ways. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. If only there was a country, let's call it China, that produced cheap electric vehicles they want to sell to Western markets. Surely our government would welcome them with open arms, as they care about their citizens' wallets. Also, we're not really making any investments in like transit or like, transitioning to more efficient energy systems. We're not doing that. We're really just doing electric vehicles. So you would think, especially under that context, that they would, allow this fictional country that you're mentioning to just sell their cheap electric vehicles in this market. You would think that, wouldn't you? Is your orange t-shirt a Donald Trump dog whistle? Yes, it is. I'm glad you picked up on that. I'm glad you picked up on that. He's orange, as we know. As we just went over. He's actually doing an interview with Elon Musk tonight. I'm wondering, that's going to be probably a pretty big train wreck. We'll come in, tomorrow we'll cover that. We'll cover the orange man and the apartheid fuckface interview. Tomorrow. Who knows what's going to go on there? I'm sure it'll be totally chill and normal. That's right. What a dialogue that's going to be. Just 2 intellectual heavyweights. Has anyone seen the clip of Trump on the Wendy Williams show from, I think, a few months ago? Did anyone see that? Because someone showed that to me over the weekend, and it's really fascinating. because it's just like, this is just what he wants to be doing. Like this whole political situation, it's something that I think he kind of like fell into almost accidentally. And like he's so in his element on this show. And honestly, Trump, if he just stayed out of the whole political arena and he just had a TV show where he took calls, gave dating advice, talked about celebs, talked about films and stuff that he likes, he would be great. Like he would be great at that. And you can tell when he's on the Wendy Williams show that like that's what he needs to be doing. That's what he should be doing. That is actually his calling. And he's like charming. He doesn't seem like an asshole. In a past life, I would have just been on Wendy Williams with you. Has anyone seen this clip? It's honestly quite remarkable. This person I know who's like an influencer sent it to me and influenced me. He needs to be like Sam in Casino, where he has his own talk variety show. Absolutely. Like this, he's so much better suited for this. Look at this clip. It's honestly remarkable.
Okay, hi, Mr. Trump.
How are you?
I work really long hours, and my boyfriend is starting to think that I may be cheating on him.
Whoa, are you? Are you cheating?
I am not, Donald. How do I assure him that when I'm at work, I'm actually doing work and not someone else?
Now, Donald, I'm going to let you answer first. And your wife is a businesswoman, so I'm sure she works late sometimes as well.
But I think if he has that in the back of his mind, I mean, you love him that much?
Absolutely.
Can you live without him?
No, I cannot.
Because, you know, if he
him.
has that now in the back of his mind, that could be trouble.
It's only going to get worse.
For the future, I'm saying.
How long have you been with him?
12 years.
And how old are you?
32.
And why boyfriend? He's not...
Yeah, exactly.
That's another show.
Oh, well, here's what I would suggest. You tell him that you're working late, and he better not, to prove his point, try to roll up at the job and do something embarrassing like where is she, or cruise the parking lot.
Okay.
If he can't take your word for it, then you know what, after 12 years, maybe this is not the guy for you. And if we have to have another show on why it is you want to get married and he hasn't married you, then maybe they need to...
Jay, just watch this next part.
I'm looking at you. You will have no trouble getting guys.
Okay.
If NBC just gave Trump a talk show, the world would probably be a better place. There's an alternate history. I don't know if the world would be better, but the entire MAGA movement didn't need to happen. There's something somewhere along the line. This alternate timeline was created when Obama made some comment about Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner that pissed him off and made him want to spite him. And he did this vanity run for president, which that original run for president was probably just being done in the first place to promote all his media ventures that he never had any anticipation of actually competing in and winning. But then as soon as he said Mexicans, they're rapists, and everyone got really mad, but a bunch of people got really excited. Was like, yeah, they are. And then he went and did a rally, and thousands of people showed up and started cheering. And he started saying more outlandish shit. And the more outlandish shit that he would say, the more people would cheer. And he's like, okay. And then because the entire American political system is this media circus, it propelled him into this position that I don't know that he had ever any actual interest in. There's an alternate timeline where just a few little events didn't happen, and Trump is just a harmless TV show host. And the entire MAGA movement didn't happen. Now, would the world be better? Probably not. Most likely it would not. But that is one thing that would be very different. I think that's why he has such disdain for his biggest supporters. Absolutely, it's like you've pulled me into this. It's your fault. And now he's got all these criminal things hanging over his head. If it was just regular like rich guy corruption shit, it would just have gone away. No one would have cared. He's like got this whole thing. He tried to overthrow the government. You know, that's not good. Harmless to most people, not those he actually interacts with. Yeah, and that's what I mean, Barfcast. It doesn't mean that he's a nice guy, but it means he doesn't have this like pernicious influence on society and culture and the world. Yeah, the fact that he actually became president fucked up his grift and bag. Seriously, he's got all these legal consequences hanging over his head. Everyone's mad at him all the time. I'm not going to sympathize with Trump no matter how hard you try. It's really not about sympathy. That's not really what I mean. It's not really about sympathy. It's more just like his influence on like American culture and culture at large. And he played a big role in kind of unleash the right wing. The far right was always there, but like legitimizing that and kind of unleashing that. He just wanted to eat a Big Mac and make money off of media and merch. Exactly. Now you got people shooting at him. Yeah, I'm not going to go and make some argument that like everything would be fantastic and that America would be great and the world would be great if Donald Trump was never president. I almost said pregnant. That's kind of a funny Freudian slip there. That's a funny mental image as well. But I don't think America would be better. I don't think the world would be better, but like it would be different. It's definitely a different timeline that we ended up on. America was never great is the underlying understanding that we have. Exactly. Couldn't agree more. But I guess, I mean, this is one of the conversations that's come up around Trump's whole assassination attempt, though, right? Is that like there's not really anyone else that the right wing has as this kind of like avatar to like influence and be the kind of face of this far right movement. There's no one else in the conservative movement that can do that. That was the whole kind of interesting thing about this Trump assassination attempt. Not that we would ever go on Twitch TV and suggest that, you know, we hoped that it was successful or anything like that. I certainly wouldn't say that, and I know people in the chat don't want to say that. But the point is, though, if hypothetically it was successful, there's no one else to step up and take that place. So that's the kind of interesting thing about if Trump had never happened, you know? Certainly these people with these beliefs would still be there. And I'm not trying to suggest that that's not the case. But you don't really have anyone on a mainstream level animating these beliefs and speaking to these concerns and these people to the same extent. I'm famous for not wanting to say that, and I agree. We're all on the same page about that. That's not something that we would even joke around about, really. You know? We wouldn't do it. It's not appropriate. Really impossible to speculate what their angle will be post-Trump, or it'll be Tucker. Maybe. Maybe it will be, Brandon. By the way, I see you got Twitch unblocked at work. I love that. You can become one of our loyal time theft soldiers. But like even Trump's existence as Trump as we know him now, the Orange Man, influenced Tucker to go down this path, influenced Tucker Carlson and increased his platform. I don't know. It's interesting to speculate about. It is. Like, it's interesting to speculate this alternate timeline where just Hillary had run against like Jeb Bush, and America would be in the closing couple of months of the Hillary presidency. it's kind of just interesting to speculate about. Again, we're not saying that things would be great or anything really systemically would be better. The Hillary Imperium. Yeah, the rules would have been changed to allow her to be just about entering her third term now. She'd just be entering her historic third term. We refer to ourselves as the time reclaimers now. Time theft is outdated. I don't know. I kind of like time theft because it's like badass. It's like you're doing a crime. You're doing a crime against your employer. I like that. Do you think Hillary would have become some kind of body horror monstrosity like the end of Akira? Yes. Yes, I do. Post the assassination attempt, this South Park joke lands better and better.
Look, we all want the president out of here. It's just a matter of how we do it. I know you all want to get rid of him.
That's not true. The whites still support the president. Oh, for f***'s sake, White. He's running around eating our pets and terrorizing our kids. You think Hillary would have been any better? Oh, come on, sit down, Bob. I'm just saying.
Listen, everyone, I have a team right now that's trying to locate the president, and
Hello,
I'd
Sam.
like you to hear from Officer Bright, who's leading the search.
Hey, folks, we know you're all concerned, and I want to assure you that we're doing everything we can to track the president down and have him safely removed.
Brandon, I don't know that I can do 5 minutes of this South Park clip. This is a long
Very
clip.
desperate and very dangerous. If you see the president, do not approach him. Do not try to reason with him. Most importantly, remember that this is the president, so you cannot shoot him, all right? You can't even talk about shooting him. Don't even do any coy, satirical takes on shooting him. Okay, good. What we're trying to do here is just get the president to go away. We're going to be handing out padlocks like this one so everyone can lock up their garbage. If we don't feed the president, hopefully he'll just move on. Are there any questions?
Yeah, that is good. That is good. One of my favorite memes. Yeah, I love the Whitest Kids You Know skit about that as well. I mean, that's a really fucking cool thing to put on TV. That's genuinely kind of a subversive thing to put on TV. That Whitest Kids You Know sketch. One of my favorite memes going around right now is just denying that the assassination attempt happened at all. I think that's funny. I think that's something that has legs. You're a genuinely subversive thing to put on TV. Well, I agree with that. I agree. Unfortunately, I'm not on real TV. I'm just on this bullshit. Have you seen this image? I've got some breaking news right now. I got a shocking image to show you folks. Okay, you ready for this? Remember what you think you might have seen a couple weeks ago? Well, what if I told you that it was all an illusion? What if I told you it was all an illusion? This is big time breaking news here. I really but it's funny though, because they're really desperate. They really thought, I think this was the peak of Trump's re-election chances. You've got feeble, mentally and physically diminished genocide heir Joe Biden. Everyone hates him. Everyone's mad at him. Someone takes a shot at Trump. You immediately have this iconic image of the blood and the fist and everything. And it just seems like a lifetime ago now. And now they're just so desperate to get this back. Wag the hog. Oh, that's good. That's good. I was convinced Trump would win after that. A lot of people were. I think it's understandable. That's why they're so desperate to get this back now. That's why they keep showing the image of the assassination being this happened. Remember that this happened. And I think it's really funny to be no, it didn't. It didn't happen. It did not happen. No one tried to shoot Donald Trump. The pic of Trump with the blood in the fist, that's AI or it's some other kind of bullshit. It never happened. Like Jonathan Frakes says, it never happened. This one was invented by a writer. No?
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
If they can gaslight us about a genocide, surely we can gaslight them about a Lil shooting.
Absolutely, Joe. Absolutely. I think we can gaslight some people as a little treat. And thank you for the 200 bits. I can't wait to show this to my lib boomer parents who told me immediately that it was faked. Okay, I'll send you the link. The link in the chat for the definitive proof. My grandma immediately thought it was a false flag attempt with a sharpshooter. I mean, I understand why people did come to that impression. I mean, we talked about it when it happened, but you just see that image. You see that image right away, and it like they couldn't have, if they had spent all day blocking and lighting that shot, they couldn't have made a more perfect shot. Weenus, thanks for the 33 months of tier 1. As you pointed out, very, very close to the 36-month, 3-year Pearl sub badge. Not to harp on 1-6 since it's too late to do anything about it, but these hogs literally deny it was them or that it was an insurrection. Well, it's funny, Alexander, because sometimes they're like almost in between both things. So like it was a false flag and it happened, and the people that were arrested or killed are martyrs. It can go back and forth, you know? That was such a funny thing about January 6th in the first place, is all the people that were like hyped up about it immediately distancing themselves from it and being like, what? No. That's actually, even this thing that I was like, yeah, it was like the Kevin Sorbo is the ultimate example of this. This thing that I've been talking about being like, this is it. This is like when it's happening. I love everything about what's happening now. And then as soon as like the reality of it set in, they're like, it's the feds and it's Antifa. No patriot would ever dream of breaking in there. It wasn't a big deal, and it was an op by Antifa and their heroes. It was so funny seeing Trump the other day saying, no one died. No one died. It was very peaceful. No one died. One of his fucking deranged followers gets herself shot. Gets herself domed by the just Capitol security people. And he won't even acknowledge that it even happened. Oh, I'm so happy that I got to watch J6 live on TRRS. What a day. What a day that was. What a day that was. It's so funny to cover live historic news on here sometimes. Only thing I didn't like about it was missing the TRRS coverage, and I certainly wish that still existed. I certainly wish that footage still existed. It's lost to the sands of time now, though. Like tears in the rain. I watched that shit live off some right-wing freak stream and they scrubbed everything from the internet. It's honestly insane, Weenus, and it's very like Orwellian. It's literally Orwellian. You know, it's literally Orwellian, the way all of that footage just got scrubbed, all the conspiracy shit that led to it, gone. It's crazy the power that these tech companies have working hand in hand with the feds, with the government, to immediately just erase that. Except a sort of specific narrative about it that was then promoted. There is no Warren Basing say. It's crazy, honestly. It's crazy the ability that these tech companies have to pull this off. Like I don't know if it's the reason, but like the main reason that I was cited that like my footage was taken down, because I was doing this like ironic stop the steal thing. I had this big stop the steal graphic the whole time because I was like doing a kind of like ironic comedy thing. and they were saying, oh, you're promoting conspiracy theories, you're promoting this, you're promoting that. But it's like, even if I was, and many people were, like many QAnon people, all these QAnon influencers, which became huge on YouTube, you know, and because they want to like limit their culpability, these tech companies are like, oh shit, we allowed this to fester for so long and it almost got the government overthrown. We need to like cover our asses here, just get rid of all this and pretend it never happened. But like, that's the thing. It's like, even if people are promoting those conspiracies, the fact that it's deleted is kind of fucked up. Like, we should have access to that information. We should have access to all the videos and the things that people were saying and talking about. They literally just scrubbed all that because they realized, these tech companies, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, they all realized they were totally culpable in creating this climate. So they want to cover their own asses. But like, we should be able to watch all that shit. All this money and tech companies still haven't learned what humor is. Honestly, Brandon, like, I don't think it even makes a difference. Even if I had said like parody, satire, or like if I had said like watching the Trump rally with consternation or anything like that, they really just wanted everything off of there. They wanted every trace of anyone talking about this. They wanted that out of there because they realized they were culpable in some pretty serious shit. Did you wear one of the back-to-back World War champs snapbacks during the stream? No, I did not. I do have now a sleeveless Let's Go Brandon shirt, so the Let's Go Brandon meme didn't exist at the time, so I couldn't have worn that. No, they absolutely were just covering their own asses. But that's what I mean. Like, even if I was promoting those conspiracies, and even if I was like watching all that as a pro-Trump thing, why is it deleted? What a day. Hopefully we'll get to cover some more exciting stuff. I mean, I imagine things are just going to get crazier and crazier, so we probably will. I was really like, and let me know what you think about this, chat. And let me just put up the headline here, now that we're talking about it. Low Ames, what's up? The feds used all those scrubbed videos just to find the people too. Yeah, absolutely. Let me know what you think about this, chat, because like that's been one of the things I've been talking about with this election. Like, if Trump does lose, it's the St. Lotus. It's the theme for the next couple of weeks. I fear. I think we have no choice but to continue covering this election. We have no choice but to continue talking about it. But there's a lot of things that fall under this umbrella. Really, I mean, this could be the theme of every single week of this show. So if like my thinking was like, and you know, I don't know what you think about this, chat, but if Trump did lose this coming election, people probably would freak out, and there would probably be another crazy situation, like whether it's similar January 6th thing. It's going to empower all these conspiracy guys, election theft guys. And I feel like the tide is a little bit shifting on that. You know what I mean? Now it seems like all the energy is with the Harris and Walz campaign. Trump is floundering. He looks low energy and low effort. He doesn't even look like he wants to be there. The JD Vance pick has been a total disaster. It's there, and like you have all these like pro-Trump influencers that are jumping off the ship. Joe Rogan and Nick Fuentes and all these guys. We talked about this last week. So now I'm not so sure. Like, I think this very well could be, if the election does happen and Trump does lose, and it is a convincing victory from Harris and Walz. I don't know if anything's going to happen. I think they might just accept it. I think they've already started to accept it. They're already prepping that it's rigged since Biden stepped down from the race. It's already there that they won't accept it. I mean, yeah, there's that. But like, I don't think there's going to be a big audience for that. You also have Kamala gaslighting genocide. Absolutely, you still have that, and that's something else we're going to speak about today. But I guess I'm talking specifically about these like right-wing guys. Like, will they freak the fuck out over Trump losing to the same extent? Maybe there will be a small batch of hangers-on that are going to still kind of promote this idea. I don't think anything resembling like a kind of movement that would descend on the Capitol like what happened. I'm guessing a lot of the January 6th crowd won't go back this time, even if they are mad. I mean, God, imagine doing that again, seeing what happened on January 6th, seeing what happened to the people that participated in it, seeing what happened to the way Trump threw them under the fucking bus, including the woman like we were talking about that literally was murdered, and doing it again? You know how stupid you would have to be? Yeah, let's try this again this time. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Artisanal small batch Trump supporters, locally sourced Trump supporters. I think there will be some lone wolf type cranks that do some shit like when that guy attacked the 5G tower on Christmas in 2020. Was that the reason? That was a weird story because I remember that kind of immediately getting buried, that whole story. Probably for the same reasons that we're talking about, all that shit was scrubbed from the internet. Was that like a right-wing crank 5G thing? I didn't even remember hearing about that. It didn't work when our guy was in power, but now it will work. Exactly. Now it's going to work. I know the last time that everyone participated in this, all their lives were ruined, and some of them are still in jail now. Some of them are in the fucking ground. But let's run it back. Let's run it back. You would have to be insanely stupid to do this. But at the same time, many of these folks aren't the brightest. Yeah, it's true, Max. It's true. Incoming MAGA hang gliders. Oh, man. Oh, man. I not that I would encourage anyone to... I was about to say I encourage. No, I would not encourage anyone to engage in any kind of illegal activity, obviously, but it would be very funny. It would be very funny to see. Someone at the coffee shop I worked at insisted we took this piece of some kind of mineral or something that was meant to protect us from 5G. Well, did it work? Qasem Al-Trump. No, I'm an antenna now. Damn. I'm sorry to hear that. RFK thinks Wi-Fi fries your brain. I wonder maybe that's what gave him his brain worm. Maybe he's just trying to warn us. He doesn't want the same fate to befall us. The Wi-Fi killed the brainworm. He should be celebrating. Nice play to Putin up there. Well, absolutely. You're absolutely right. The bear he killed had 5G disease. He was just helping it out. What a weird guy that guy is. RFK Jr. What a weird guy. Just a strange man. I deliver mail and saw a rare sight where someone had his political sign on their lawn. Oh, that's interesting. Where were they getting delivered? I guess you can't say legally you can't divulge that. I thought maybe they were getting some kind of weird, like, tinfoil, 5G brainwave blocker. Federal employee. Yeah, sorry. Don't divulge any secrets about people's mail. It's a federal crime, and we don't support that. And I want you to keep your job. You have an important job. I'm guessing seeing uncle and daddy's brains blow up when you're young might fuck you up. Absolutely. It's something we talked a little bit about on the show, the Insurgents podcast a couple weeks ago. I think that's absolutely true, but it doesn't absolve you of being a weird dipshit, even if that's coming from a place of deep trauma, That's something we can all apply, We can all apply that to our lives. When you can have all kinds of mental issues, and it can all have very legitimate sources. It can all be very, that kind of context, very important. But when you're out there hurting people, it doesn't absolve you of that, Doesn't absolve you of it, even if you're going through shit, even if you're responding to legitimate trauma. Probably having squirrel meat delivered or something. Just what a strange man. Just a strange guy. I think being a president's child will make you weird, even if their head didn't just do that. Yeah, it'll make you weird in probably different ways. Ugh. I see Harris for president signs everywhere, and she's not even the damn nominee. Libs fully took this on. It does seem like there's some real energy and excitement around the Harris campaign. And we can talk about, all the circumstances around that. There's a lot to, I think, feel very grossed out by about that, considering the kind of violence and horror that the current administration has been subsidizing. It does seem to be undeniable. And like right-wing people are freaking the fuck out. They're trying to promote this conspiracy that it's all like AI, it's all fake. All the Harris excitement and crowd sizes are all fake, but like they just seem pathetic and sad doing this whole thing, doing this whole routine. I'm in a very red area. In 2020, there were a ton of Trump signs. This year, there's maybe 10% of the sign turnout. It's that campaign now. That campaign now just has the stench of loserdom now. It just has the stench of decay and death. And it's not something you can even really quantify. It just seems like everyone knows they're headed for disaster. It seems to be the case. And this interview with Elon and Trump tonight is probably a way to try to undo some of that. And I highly doubt that's going to be the reaction. Dems always have bigger crowd sizes. Why does it matter? I think maybe it might matter because maybe like Trump has pulled some pretty big crowds, even though he's obsessed with this in this kind of weird way. Probably if it was him versus Biden, maybe it would be different, but apparently he did the McConnell freeze last night. Oh, that's interesting, G.G. Allen Dulles. Is there footage of it? I mean, there must be. We can examine that. They just don't want to pay attention anymore. They're happy that they don't have to defend an old man, so they can just go back to brunch. Doesn't matter that she was the worst primary candidate. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Finally, I don't have to think about this anymore. We won. We did it. We did it, Joe. He had the perfect opponents in Hillary 2016 and Biden this year. Yeah, and I don't think Kamala is a perfect opponent at all, but I do think the Walz pick has people really like it. Like, people seem to be really excited by it, from what I can tell. And then there's all these influencers right now that are desperately trying to like promote this idea that he's going to resign, that there's some kind of scandal coming. There's like, they have a bunch of like weird influencers using this kind of identical language about this, that Walz is about to resign or quit because of some scandal, but it's just, they're trying to will it into existence, you know? People seem to be excited by it. And St. Louis, remember, this is not a judgment from me or anyone in the chat. This is just calling balls and strikes here. You know? That just seems to be the reality. And it seems like that the reality of it is setting in for these right-wing guys. The scandal feeding poor kids at school. Yeah. Whereas blowing up kids with a knife bomb at a school in Gaza, not a scandal. Giving underprivileged kids school lunches for free, that's the big scandal. That's how deeply fucked this entire system is. Joe Rogan stole jokes from Brendan Schaub on his new special. I don't know if I know who Brendan Schaub is, but that sounds about right. Very shocking from comedic genius Joe Rogan, though. Just looked it up. Freeze was at a Montana rally. It looks like it might have been clipped out of context and someone in the crowd was having some kind of medical thing and Trump was just waiting for that to resolve. Fake news. Tim Walz made a day honoring Falun Gong in Minnesota. No, Tim. I thought Tim was she's man on the inside. I thought this was one of the things to like about Tim Walz. Brendan is one of the doofiest asshole MMA fighters turned comedian right-wing grifter you'll ever come across. Oh, great. Fantastic. Big post on Tim Walz's China record. I mean, the thing I've reacted to is just him making comments about China, trying to like insist that that America shouldn't have this like adversarial relationship with them, which seemed to be like fairly significant. Big post on Tim Walz's China record. Presenting Tim Walz as somehow pro-China, as some U.S. Republicans are doing, is absolutely insane. In office, the guy was always a cheerleader for all the initiatives to weaken and divide China, be it on Hong Kong when he was welcoming the protest leaders to his office and cheering them on, or on Tibet. With regards to the latter, he met the Dalai Lama and even invited the so-called Prime Minister of the government in exile to his office and introduced him to Minnesotan high schoolers. The guy got married on the 5th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square protest because he wanted to have a date he'll always remember, for crying out loud. That's how committed he is to activism against the Chinese government. He also signed and even co-sponsored numerous pieces of extremely hawkish legislation on China, and he's on the record saying he refuses Chinese companies in his state. He's basically the archetype of the Western liberal politician who's on a crusade to remake the world in his image under the immensely hypocritical guise of human rights and bringing democracy. I can assure you that these are the exact types of U.S. politicians who are most disliked in China. They'd much rather someone who's just outwardly xenophobic but at least is honest about it. Nothing less respectable than someone who says, I want the best for your people, and then enacts sanctions or other policies that seek to break up and regime change the country, leading to mass impoverishment, people, or deaths by the hundreds of thousands. Well, this man's dead to me now. Did the Dalai Lama kiss him on the mouth? I don't know. We'd have to get some confirmation on that. I don't know. Like I have been talking about this, and I think it is important to talk about the fact that like he has taken some fairly bold foreign policy stances. This politician I only jokingly like turned out to be bad. But like he's in the disgusting genocidal United States government, he's probably one of the better people that you could possibly have. You know, he's like the probably least bad option. And foreign policy is one of the reasons of that. I think he has taken some stances that are important on foreign policy over the years. Of course, not on Israel, and apparently not on China either. But taking stances is one thing. But what will he do? That's the big question. A lot of the Republicans' trouble is parsing the message, and Vance is very good at that. Is he, though? I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I agree with that. I think when he does try and actually talk about the issues, he might come across as, like, coherent, at least. But he said so much crazy shit, though, Koniko. He's talked about all the childless cat lady stuff, and he's pissed so many people off with this exact issue of trying to talk about these issues, but doing it in an off-putting and alienating way. I don't know if that's an accurate way of describing him at all. Like, we can even look at this. I saw some of his interview with Dana Bash. And the problem with these right-wing guys is when they try to talk about economic issues, with which he does try and do sometimes. He tries and talks about like economic problems with like healthcare and housing, and you know how they hurt families, which might have which might resonate with people if they were backed up by policies that actually address these things. But he doesn't have any of that, though. Because he refuses to tie in any of this stuff with the economic system that he fully supports. That's what it comes down to. He was talking about him and his wife's medical bills and stuff, yet he supports the for-profit medical system in the United States that creates that problem. You know, he supports all these systemic issues that lead to all of these outcomes. So it's totally disingenuous when he does try and talk about this shit. Trump is tweeting again. I did see that he tweeted earlier. He tweeted like a campaign video. Like, how pathetic is it of Elon Musk that he's had to like beg him to come back now for multiple years? He brought his account back, and Trump still hasn't done it because he wants to hold this power over Elon Musk. And Musk is giving him money. He's bringing him on for this interview. He's like doing everything that he can to get Trump back to this platform because he knows it's going to juice the engagement on this website that he's totally ruined and he's losing billions on. Increasing the child tax credit must be done, though, in light of inflation. The same credit given doesn't hold the same value it used to. I agree that it should be done because of a variety of reasons. But even when Vance talks about this issue, he does it in a way that sounds really off-putting and insulting to people. Here he is. Here we go. This is what he tweeted earlier today.
Trump has left the building.
We can now project the winner of the presidential race. Donald Trump wins the presidency. What started off as unlikely, impossible, is now reality.
I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down.
We have a president who actually fulfilled the promises he made during the campaign. Securing the border to foreign policy.
He now has a record as president that's pretty damn impressive. Breaking news out of Palm Beach,
The FBI has executed an unprecedented search warrant at President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. The former president has both sides of the political aisle up in arms.
It is a dangerous and unstable moment in American history.
The Justice Department has just indicted former President Donald Trump.
For 7 years, they hated him, they targeted him, they hunted him.
This is the epitome of the abuse of the prosecutorial power to preempt political decisions.
I never thought anything like this could happen in America. The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving. On November 5th,
I don't think they are coming after
2024,
that. I think they're mostly coming
justice
after him.
will be done. We will take back our country, and we will make America great again. America will always rise to every challenge and overcome every danger.
Donald Trump seems to always get stronger when challenged. These types of...
That's a throwback hairstyle. Look at this. That's a throwback. He had a whole like flock of seagulls thing happening in that one. The iconic Trump mane. I haven't really seen that look. He was really letting it grow out a little bit there. Hamburgers and kafifi for every American. A hamburger on every stove and a kafifi in every pot. And a nice big fat orange in the fruit bowl.
Get stronger when challenged. These types of things, I think, give him strength.
When I'm reelected, I will totally obliterate the deep state. As long as we have pride in our beliefs, courage in our convictions, and faith in our God, then we will not fail.
He hates having Vance's name on there. He knows he blew it with that one. He says, "Are you better off now than you were when I was president? Our economy is shattered. Our border has been erased. We're a nation in decline." I mean, that part is true. They are a nation in decline. The funny thing is that Trump's entire existence is evidence of that. Make the American dream affordable again. Make America safe again. Make America great again, says Donald Trump. And there's tonight at 8 p.m. and we have no choice but to talk about this tomorrow. We have no choice but to talk about this tomorrow and laugh about this and make fun of it tomorrow. Oh, here we got meet San Francisco radical Kamala Harris. Let's see, this is 1 minute ago. This is hot off the presses.
I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her.
They're still obsessed with the
liberal
pronouns
United
thing.
States senator. Well, actually, the nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
We are going to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct.
A lot of the signs at the rally you just held were people standing there saying, abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Is that a position that you agree with?
We need to probably think about starting from scratch.
So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all to people who are in this country illegally?
I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being public health, period.
Oh no.
Are you for defunding
Oh
the
my
police?
God, that's so
How are
scary.
you defining defund the police? It's actually wrong and backward to think that more
Cop hater,
police
she's literally a
officers
cop.
will create more safety. We need to get rid of money bail.
Convicted, in prison, like the...
It's so funny, like these attack ads that show liberal Democrats saying good things. Like, it's really funny. It's the whole thing with Walls as well. Oh, he's so radical, this radical extremist, and they just show him saying a bunch of good shit. They've like, you could like, if you took away the like text from this ad and put some inspiring, uplifting music, it would be like a pro Kamala ad for a lot of people. You know? He spent the first ad whining about the FBI, exactly. That's just a really funny phenomenon, painting these like neoliberal, conservative in many cases, Democrats, of being these scary radicals, and cutting these like ads together, showing them saying good things, which they didn't actually mean or follow through on in any way. It's like at one point they might have said one good thing because they thought it might appeal to a certain crowd that they're trying to appeal to at that exact moment. So they take things that these neoliberal Democrats say that they do not mean, have no intention of following through on, and they cut it into this like scary ad about how deranged and scary and radical they are. The good news is that Kamala was asked if she supported any of this now, and the answer was no. Exactly. So what are we doing here? They can't attack her on substantial issues because that would make her appealing to conservatives. Exactly. If they actually showed the reality of her stances on all these issues, a lot of Republicans would be like, this actually doesn't sound so bad.
Boston Marathon bomber on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation. I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal. I have always supported Medicare for all. I was very happy to sign on to Bernie's bill, and I give Bernie, frankly, a lot of credit. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should.
Banning plastic straws. Oh my God. This is what America has come to. This is what Brandon's America has led to. That's the last straw. That's the last straw, so to speak. Look at this picture of Elon too. Elon, you do not look like this, sir. Come on, Elon. This is Elon in like 2012, for sure. Plastic straws is a weird thing to focus on. Yeah, it is. Yeah, like this is the gravest threat to our society. And again, like we talk about, when we take like the enormity of climate change that we're facing with this crisis, and we reduce that to like individual consumer choices, and we reduce it down to plastic or paper straws or plastic bags or reusable bags, that is very sinister in a way, you know, because whether we have plastic straws or not doesn't fucking make a difference about the climate of the planet. And we all recognize that. So you have liberals that end up looking like endorsing these kinds of policies to make a small, tiny little dent in like plastic waste, or like the massive like country-sized garbage islands floating around in the ocean. But none of this actually makes a real difference in the crisis that we're facing. So it's just bad on both ends, because then you have liberals that support these bullshit policies that don't do anything, and then you have reactionaries that talk about these policies like they're the end of the world. And then there's people that are like very extremely low information voters, to put it lightly, that are like, yeah, when I use this paper straw, it's all like gross and slimy. I hate that. And then that's what ends up happening. Clearly, the bipartisan border policies in anticipation of climate refugees. Exactly. That's exactly right. And like when you look at the actual border policies, there's very, very little difference in these two candidates and these two parties in what the policies are. Minimum difference made of maximum culture war polarization provoked. Yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at it. It's so funny. It is very funny that this was his last tweet. It is really funny that this is his last tweet now. Now that we're looking at Trump's Twitter again, January 8th, 2021. To those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. Just nothing for 4 years. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol.
The heinous attack. So, okay, so it wasn't a big deal. Those people were patriots, or it was like a false flag. But what's he saying here?
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol.
Just threw them all under the bus. Threw your most devoted, fanatic, cult-like followers. Threw them all under the bus. 2 days later. That's how much this guy actually cares. But like, contrast that with what he was just saying in that ad. I will never stop fighting for you. They want to get to me. They don't want to get to me. They want to get to you, and I'm standing in the way. 2 days later, after his most devoted followers stormed the Capitol, here he is. I will never stop fighting for you, folks.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol.
It kind of seems like you did stop fighting for them a little bit, you know? It kind of seems like you did. You immediately backtracked and immediately capitulated the moment you thought you might get in trouble. Yeah, and now he says it was peaceful. Now he says it was just a peaceful protest and a peaceful act of resistance by these patriotic, unfairly maligned protesters. Apparently it was a heinous attack. His own words. It was in his own words. Is this Elon Trump thing just Elon courting Trump to come back to Twitter? Absolutely, as well as Elon's huge payment. He's literally paying Trump. He's literally giving Trump millions of dollars to support his campaign. This is going to be the kiss of death as well. That's the final stench of death on this campaign. Elon tried to get behind Ron DeSantis and launched his campaign on X.com in the exact same way. And it was an absolute debacle, disaster, as was DeSantis's failure of a campaign. Then he briefly got behind Vivek Ramaswamy, also a massive failure. And now here he is trying to court Trump to get back to Twitter to juice the engagement, paying Trump millions of dollars. The ultimate stench of death now, the ultimate kiss of death. Yeah, we forget easily, Dakadu, and forgot Meatball Ron launched on Twitter. We forget because for a while it seemed like that was going to be a big deal, and it absolutely was a debacle and a disaster. And launched the campaign on Twitter, and he was a humiliating disaster. It's very interesting to go back to those statements following January 6th. Contrast that with how he talks about that today, and how he describes it as a heinous attack on the Capitol. This will be video. I'm not sure, Koniko. I'm not really sure. It just says it's on Spaces. Yeah, audio. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be really great. I'm sure it's going to be really fantastic. Maybe they can figure out the technical side of it, which was happened during the DeSantis thing. That with Elon Musk's brilliant political instincts, I'm just trying to find some highlights of that.
Tonight, I'm pleased to introduce two individuals who've done more to loosen the. All right, sorry about that. We've got so many people here that I think we are kind of melting the servers, which is a good sign.
Let's see. So, we on? Yeah, I think so.
Just to simplify this. Wow, there's 382,000 people in the room.
All right, great. So let's see.
So they just keep crashing, huh?
Masterful gambit, sir.
Just a massive number of people online, so it's servers are straining somewhat.
Our website is breaking down, which is good, by the way. That's a sign that that this is all very good.
All right, we're just reallocating more server capability to be able to handle the load here. It's really going crazy.
I'm here. I know. I think you broke the internet there. We had over 500,000 people in one Twitter space, and it was growing by like 50,000 a minute. So, congrats on breaking the internet.
It's
there.
audio. It's not even video. It's just, imagine an audio having like 50,000 people, an audio show on Twitter having 50,000 people. It's just unheard of. It's just completely unheard of. It's completely unthinkable. Unheard of local radio numbers. Yeah, Twitch is able to do it with video. And YouTube as well. YouTube does it all day. Musk was streaming Diablo 4 last night at like 2 FPS. Eventually you're going to solve this, sir. Use your tech I thought this man was a genius. Use your tech coding genius to figure out this technology that's literally existed for many years. Eventually you're going to get the hang of this, sir. What is the fucking problem exactly? Incredible. Really incredible stuff. Did Trump...
Earlier in the show, we played all of the insane tech glitches here. Now that we kind of... Well, did we get the one from True Social?
Yeah, which one do we want?
Let's play the trolling first, because the immediate reactions here. This is what Trump put on social media.
So, Venus, people still I get following for the marketing campaign about Elon being some genius 10 years ago. A lot of people fell for it. It was a really slick marketing campaign to convince you of exactly that. You know, I don't hold it against anybody. If you fell for that, if you believed the hype about Elon Musk, I don't know if I want to say I fully believed it, but like, you know, there was a very slick, well-financed marketing campaign to convince you this guy was some brilliant genius. In the year 2024, though, still continuing to believe it, I think you have to be genuinely fucking deranged to still believe that now, you know? He was in the first breakout Marvel movie, Iron Man, in 2008. That's not totally true. He was in Iron Man 2. But he wasn't in Iron Man 1, Ames, but when Robert Downey Jr. was doing press for the original Iron Man, he was like, this is like a real life Tony Stark. I remember him saying that. This guy is like a real life Tony Stark. He's this real genius inventor, engineer guy. And then he actually showed up in Iron Man 2 in a cameo. So you're kind of right.
First, there was like I saw the screenshot that he did.
There's our friend Matt Leck,
like the
friend of the show,
the Twitter space with all these people: Ron DeSantis, Elon, including George Soros, Klaus Schwab, Dick Cheney, Adolf Hitler, the devil, and the FBI. And to be honest, I think he kind of should have just left it there because that is, as an image, that's funny. But it was a video.
See, I don't know who is more pathetic in this situation now that Trump is coming back to Twitter and he is talking to Elon Musk. Who's more pathetic, Elon or Trump himself? Because Elon, Trump repeatedly humiliated him. I think he had a Truth Social post that was about this man came begging to me for subsidies, kind of thing, and he made fun of this whole debacle. And Trump and Elon still is begging him to come back, but isn't Trump also humiliating himself by going back? I feel like they're both. It's just this mutual humiliation that's happening.
And I'll say, I think he kind of loses it in the final act here with a little bit, whoever wrote this is a little bit too much of a fan of Trump than really embodying Trump. But they use AI for all the voices here, and it is kind of funny.
George, can you just wait while we...
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can all hear you, George. Can you just hold on for a second?
Hilfa, I don't think they can hear me.
I can hear you fine, George. Just speak to the
I don't think George knows how to use Twitter.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Can I please make my big announcement now? Everyone just...
Hello?
Just shut up, George.
Can somebody just mute George?
Dick, could you try not to cough on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so how are we going to take out Trump, you guys?
Guys from the FBI, this is not a private call. This is a public Twitter space. Everyone can listen in.
Oh, God damn it.
Anyway,
That's
guys,
okay. That's actually pretty good.
Everyone to this this Twitter space, so Governor Ron DeSantis could.
Everyone just shut the hell up so I can make my announcement, okay?
You go, girl. Pause it for 1 second there. What's funny about this?
That's pretty good. That's actually a pretty good bit. So it's funny. So I'm wondering now, and sound off in the chat. Who is humiliating themselves more now by Trump returning to Twitter and doing this X.com Spaces event? Who's more humiliated, Elon Musk or Trump? It's tough. It's tough to say. Elon is the humiliated one because he's the one paying. I think there's an element of it to that as well. There's definitely an element of that. Elon Musk is literally paying this man millions of dollars. Paying this man millions of dollars basically to come back to the website and save his failing website. Elon does seem to have a humiliation kick. I mean, there is something to that. Anyway, we're going to have to talk about it tomorrow. We're going to have to watch this clip and talk about it tomorrow. When Trump gets humiliated, people tend to immediately forget. But when Elon gets humiliated, it seems to stick to him forever. That's a good point. That's a good point. Trump, that's the thing. Trump, it all seems to kind of just wash right off his back. I guess Elon got on his knees and begged like a dog. He begged me like a dog. It's true. He ain't no Teflon Don. No, that is very true.
Count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Risk Inverse, thanks for gifting a sub. I really appreciate all the support a lot. And in fact, I think you almost sensed that I was about to transition into doing a little call to action. So thank you very much, Risk Inverse. But going on 1 hour and 40 minutes into the stream, folks, as you may know, if you enjoy watching this program, the only way that this program is able to stay on the air is if this little number at the bottom of the screen goes up. I don't like it. You don't like it. You don't have to. Maybe some of you like it. I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't love it, certainly. I like to just hang around, shoot the shit with people, talk to people. Unfortunately, the economic reality is that to do this show, I need to pay rent and bills and stuff like that. I got a kid I got to take care of. I got a lot of stuff going on. And the only way that can happen is if this little number at the bottom of the screen goes up. So, if you do enjoy this program, folks, if you like the commentary, the analysis, the laughs, the memes, the interviews, the somewhat strange parasocial relationship that we have with one another, If you like all those things and you want to support this program, please subscribe if you can. You can get all the tiny little images, right? The emotes, some of the very best emotes on this platform. The only source of Enver's Hoja emotes, I know that much. The only Enver's Hoja emote you can find anywhere on this platform is right here. So you can get all the tiny little images. You can be part of the community. You can support this program, support the work that I do on here.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob.
Every little bit helps.
Through all this.
I appreciate it a lot. And as you know, as we've said many times,
you can count
when
on
you do
me,
subscribe
good old Rob
to this show,
to talk you through all this.
We become friends. And scrub what I said like 45 seconds ago. It's not parasocial. Okay? It isn't. It's real. It's real friendship. And when everyone is out here, we're so isolated, we're so alienated, we're depressed, we're miserable. We're not connected with one another.
To mark up the size of the account.
What is the cost of friendship? What is the cost of community? Oh, $5? Really? Just $5. I know. But it's true. It's barely anything at all. And now we are a mere 30 subs away from getting to the goal. After gifted subs from Mercurial Shroom. Thank you, Mercurial Shroom. Thank you, Barbara, for the gifted sub and all the support. And thank you, Weenus, as well, for 100 bits. My donation will be matched by 10 hamburgers, says Weenus. And we got one more sub or gifted sub to kick this hype train off. And then we can get back to talking about serious business. Apparently it's $6 USD now. Okay, well that's less than ideal, honestly. That is less than ideal, but I have no control over that, unfortunately. I wish I did. I wish I was in charge of Twitch.tv. I wish I was the CEO of Twitch.tv, but I'm not. This is what I have to work with here. But if you can, please do subscribe. I'm going to take a little bit of time to try and make the number go up. If you'll bear with me, try to make the little number go up. And then I'll get back to talking about serious business. We're 1 minute away from this hype train. Obviously, someone's going to subscribe or give subs or bits in the next minute. I mean, obviously, that's going to happen. How humiliating it would be for me. How humiliating it would be if it didn't. How humiliated and depressed would I be?
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Weenus, for the gifted sub. But because you cheered 100 bits and started the hype train almost, that actually does not count. Unfortunately, that does not count to get this hype train rolling. But I really do appreciate the gifted sub, Weenus. Thank you for that. But obviously, in the next 20 seconds, something's going to come through. I mean, obviously it will.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Shut up, Rob God.
Thank you very much, Lodane, for 200 bits. I really appreciate the 200 bits, Lodane. Thank you.
You're going to have good old Rob to
and thank you, Diego, as well, for the gifted sub to our friend Matron's Militia. And thank you, Brandon, from Powerless Pod, another podcast
have good old Rob
stream that everyone should listen to. Powerless Pod. Thank you for the gifted sub as well. We do have this hype train going now, folks. 8 out of 35 subs. Again, if you'll just bear with me for a few moments here.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
We're going to get through this together. I'm going to talk you through all this, everything, and this specific segment. We're going to get through that as well. Rylan, thank you for the gifted sub also. Very kind of you. We're almost back in the 600 sub range. I was doing pretty well at the time earlier this summer that I took off to spend time with my son, which is not something I regret. I had a wonderful time spending time with my son this summer. I'm ever so slowly inching my way back up to where I was. If I make the sub goal today, should be well on my way. Look at Rob bragging about having a family. We've all got families. Oh, I mean, I guess maybe that's not true. And if it's not, this is your family. That's the most important thing, you know? If you don't have a family to speak of, it's no problem because you can have a family for the low, low cost of $6 US dollars. Which to me is worth it. The family, that's the most important, it's one of the most important things you can have in your life. Unless you don't want that, in which case it's not important. This is what it is to be a politician. You're like trying to appeal to every single person in every word that you say. Lodane's got a dog. Kira V's got a cat. It's not even $6, it's $5.99. Exactly, that's a huge difference. You should regret abandoning us. You could have brought the kid. The kid likes us. Well, that's true, but I guess, you know, when we're talking about an 8-year-old kid going on vacation, I needed to like bring him outside go swimming into the beach, and I don't think it would have been, you know, good parenting for on his vacation to just stick him in front of this screen all day, every day. You know, I just have this feeling that maybe it was better to spend that time going outside, going to the park, going to the beach, spending time with his grandparents, you know, doing all that kind of stuff, going to the pool. We went to the pool a lot. And I don't know that it would have been a good idea to just plop him here in front of the computer screen all day. Maybe you might disagree. I don't know. You could have streamed from the pool, the park, the beach, grandparents. I suppose so, but the mobile streams are more difficult to pull off. Are genuinely. I could have gone either way, but now that I have a son, it's an amazing experience. People poo-pooing one of the greatest human experiences is goofy. It just economically doesn't make sense in our situation. That's an unfortunate reality. And in Weenus, it's because I care about you that I didn't read the initial thing you wrote, which was people pooping one of the greatest human experiences, because that would have been really mean to do that considering how much of a supporter you are of this program. Folks, we got a minute left. Surely we can get it to level 2 of this hype train. Like 2 more subs is going to do it. It's Monday. I was on time. It's, you know, I'm here going on 2 hours. We can get it to level 2, obviously, of this hype train. Of course we can, can't we? I was here at the agreed upon hour, you know? On the dot. That's not even an exaggeration. Gwynny can vouch for me. He was on time, chat. We need to establish a positive feedback loop and reinforce that behavior. That's what I'm saying. You've got to reinforce my behavior. Otherwise, I can't guarantee anything. You were 7 seconds late. Okay, well. Okay. Who even cares, though? Who cares about the little number? You think I care? You think I care? Do you think I derive self-worth? You think I derive self-worth from a little number at the bottom of the screen? Well, I don't, okay? I've got more things going on in my life than this little number. It doesn't affect my mental health. It doesn't affect my sense of mental well-being. I don't think about it after the stream. I don't consider it at all. Please write down that I don't care. Do a blog post about how I don't care about it. You should just start banning people randomly. I should ban Lodane for calling me a bad boy just now. What's up with that? Unless Lodane, do you mean that I'm like the bad boy of Twitch? Is that what you're talking about? Because that's true. That part is true. Just gonna wait to get some confirmation on that. Maybe the chat is bad. Have you ever thought about that? Maybe the mods in the chat are the ones that are actually bad. You know, I'm coming on here trying to like entertain people, inform people, create a little community that gives people meaning, happiness. And what do I get in return? What do I get in return, chat? Mockery? Mocking all my verbal flubs? Not that there are that many. Very few, actually. If you look at the amount of words spoken on this show versus the amount of times that I've said like one wrong thing, it's like what, 1%? No, less than that. It would be like 0.01%. The amount of actual verbal flubs that have happened in the hundreds of thousands of words that have been spoken on this program. Lodane's just coming in hot, threatening to beat me now. We've graduated to violent threats coming from Lodane. This is what's happening now. This is what I'm dealing with now. We got violent threats happening in the chat. As the leader of the cult, you're expected to be perfect. Again, like, think of all the times that I've tried to talk when my mic was muted. You know? Think of all the times that's happened. Well, how many times have I spoken with the mic totally functioning correctly? That's most of the time. That's the vast majority of the time. I'm not muted and the mic is working totally correctly. What's the number of times that I've tried to speak with the mic muted overall in 4 years? 15? Maybe. Or with the stock desktop mic. Don't remind me, Brandon. Oh, it's not in the hundreds. Come, be real now. Come on now. And you haven't even bought enough subs from having a microphone assistant to work full time. So, you know, folks, even though there is no hype train anymore, and that's fine. Who needs a hype train? Who needs it? We don't care about that. It would still be pretty great to see if we can just get this little number to go up a little bit more before moving on to the next segment. Surely we can do that. Right? Almost 2 hours into this free show that I do every day, that I spend 3-4 hours a day doing. No salary, no benefits, no vacation time, totally free. Surely the little number can go up a little bit more. I'm positive that it can. I'm positive. You have health insurance already. You can basically live off that alone, right? It's funny because, like, technically there is still some semblance of universal healthcare in Canada, but I actually haven't seen a doctor in like 5 years, which is not good. I'll be the first to admit that is not good. When you live in Canada, you can not go to see a doctor for just mental reasons, like because you have weird mental blocks and sort of an inability to look after yourself and your physical health. For totally non-financial reasons. You cannot go see a doctor for just like weird, fucked up mental reasons. Pretty impressive considering all your ailments. I know. I have a high ratio of like physical issues to lack of doctor visits.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Comrade Bushy, for the gifted sub. I appreciate it. Also fucking impossible to see your family doctor here. Yeah, I do not actually have a family doctor. That's one thing that I've told my parents that I'm going to try and work on this year. And I don't even know like how to do it. I have no fucking idea, actually. I don't think it's like a sustainable situation for me to just keep visiting free health clinics. Which I have not done in now multiple years. Thank you again to Comrade Bushy. There's a place you can register online in Quebec, but the wait is like 3 to 4 years. Oh, good. Don't call the police on me. Please don't do that. I can't believe Rob is living like an American with all the glorious universal healthcare. This is how I fetishize American culture so much that I want to be like one of you. I want to be like one of you, and that involves being physically unhealthy and not really taking it seriously and just relying on a variety of legal substances to try and power yourself through it. Mostly legal, Odin. Mostly legal. Some less legal. I find the InfoWars supplements the perfect substitute. Exactly. Who needs a doctor? When you can just get like nootropic brain stacks or whatever they call it. We're just pouring Gatorade over the open wounds. Just take some HGH and work out in jeans. Problem solved. I would be pretty ripped, honestly, if I did take HGH. I would be pretty ripped. I've been cultivating mass now for a couple of years. It's funny because I talk about doing HGH and steroids and the gear, as Lodane calls it. I feel like I talk about that a lot. I think I do have a genuine kind of interest in that. I probably shouldn't do that, though. I pour Kool-Aid. You just do that thing that they do in movies when you get like a cut or whatever, it starts getting infected. You just put like, you take a bullet and you tamp out the gunpowder and light it on fire. Fixes it right up. I've seen that in like a bunch of movies. That works. That shit works. That's how they treat you at my local ER. That's right, I'm ready to be a field medic. Exactly. I usually just heat up a knife on the stove. That's smart too. The Far Cry method, burning your wound with your cigar. See, we're fine. We don't need... Who needs a doctor? These fucking quacks. Who needs one of these guys? We got all kinds of things we can do. Down an entire bottle of Advil like Max Payne. 0 consequences to doing that. You take 2 Advils, it usually makes you feel better. Well, take like 20, you're going to feel really good. What's the problem? More meds is more health. Thank you. That is science. That's established by science. If you eat food, you heal faster. Exactly. You just suck down a cheeseburger or something. That's why Americans are the healthiest people in the world today. My HP meter is just increasing by hearing this conversation. Yeah, definitely. Or like in Red Dead Redemption, you just have some canned peaches, some like canned salmon, whatever it is. Instantly, it refills the health core. We just need more sunlight. I do get quite a lot of that. Look how bronze I am. I'm very bronze. Very bronze. Canned peaches are very delicious. Sunning my taint to make it through the day, obviously. Obviously. Actually, this conversation is making me a little bit hungry. I think I'm going to go and just make a little sandwich or something. But remember, folks, you still can subscribe to this program. Don't let me stop you. Okay? If you're like looking at this, if you're new to the show, if you came here, if you're a lurker, you came here from the algorithm, whatever it is, you know? And you're watching this and you're like, this guy doesn't really want me to sub. But it's like, believe me, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. It would be really great to get a little bit closer to the good number before taking a couple minutes to have a sandwich. Imagine if the little number could just go up just a touch more. What a great way to transition to the next segment where I eat a sandwich.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Fine.
Sean, thank you for the 42 months. I appreciate it. Sean, don't fine me. Sean, you and I both know that you need this community just as much as I need you, all right? Perhaps even more so. Don't lie to me, don't lie to the community, and don't lie to yourself. Fuck, I was trying to make fun of the typo from Friday and I forgot what it was. Damn it. .5 years is a long time to sort of act like I could be anywhere else if I wanted to. Yeah. I can quit anytime that I want. I really should have remembered that.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Sean was spaking his truth last week and you made fun of him. Spaking. Oof. Oof. Blurp, blurp, blurg. Thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate that. And then Sean says, not that I have dwelling. You don't have dwelling? I don't understand what you mean, Sean. Like you don't have a place to live? That's very unfortunate if you don't have dwelling. We don't want that. I don't think that's from what I know, though. I don't think that's accurate. So I don't know why you would say something like that. Okay, well, folks, just hang out for a little bit. Hang out for a little bit. I'm gonna go just like make something to eat. I'm gonna be here for about another hour or so. So hang out for a bit. I'm gonna go. Listen, when I'm gone, do not subscribe to the channel, though. I want to be clear about this. Do not subscribe to the channel while I'm away. I'm gonna be really pissed and upset if you do that. So don't do it. No one better subscribe while I'm away for a couple of minutes here. Don't go anywhere. Chat amongst yourselves and do not subscribe, or I'm going to be really angry and upset. Okay. There we go. I had my lunch. A little chicken sandwich on a brioche. Little coleslaw. Cracking open another DC. Not so bad. They're calling him Mr. Lunch, and I said right before I left there that I specifically commanded people to not sub while I was away, which thankfully you all listened to me on that. And now that I'm back, if anyone does want to subscribe to this program to help me with the whole number situation, you are free to do so. You are now free to do so. I've been so overwhelmed with it all lately, sticking my head in the sand, hating everything, not sure it's working so far as a strategy. So Sean, you're like opening up with some of your mental health struggles right now. I gotta ask you a serious question. Is it okay that I've been like relentlessly mocking you on here? Should I not be doing that? Should I not be relentlessly mocking you? If you're going through shit and you're genuinely coming here for some kind of community, something, and I'm here just ruthlessly mocking Sean. Hey everyone, this guy's sad. Let us all dunk on Sean like our leader. We can all get in our little jabs so you can win my approval. Look at the sad guy over here. I appreciate you, Sean. Oh, even saying that and being sincere just almost made me spit up a little bit. Remember, the chatters aren't real. Well, if these not real chatters could go ahead and sub a little bit more, that would be great. If you could go ahead and do that, that would be great. I got a case of the Mondays over here, I guess. I cried a little at the Blink 182 show last week. That's interesting. I saw Green Day a couple weekends ago now. 2 weeks ago, about 1 week ago. I've lost all concept of time over the last couple of weeks. It's been quite a last couple of weeks over here. And I didn't cry, but it was definitely like concentrated nostalgia right to my brainstem. You'll get subs if and when the machine decides the moment is right. I was supposed to see Metallica last night, but traffic was so bad I went home. Fortunately, when Elon Musk installs the Hyperloop system finally, traffic will be a thing of the past. I took little guy and he was feeling it. It was cooler than it sounds. No, it is cool. That's like one of those like life looping moments when you remember, being a child or being a teenager or whatever, and you realize that your own progeny is having like a similar experience. There's something beautiful about that. I think it is cool. I think it's very cool. Why are you, as a man, sharing emotions with your son? I know. This is the kind of beta behavior we talk about here sometimes. Trump has another tweet here we can take a look at. Trump was right about anything. Everything. Breaking. Trump tweeted. This is what this show is now. This is all this show is. It's just a Trump tweet monitor. That's all we're going to do from now on. It's all we're going to talk about. When your kid talks to you about something they enjoy, you're supposed to tell them to shut the hell up, I'm told. What's funny about that whole J.D. Vance, like, Pokemon thing where he talked about, his son, is like, I'm almost certain that he didn't actually say that to his son, but he was just trying to sound cool. He was trying to sound cool to these, like, right-wing freak podcasters that he's hanging out with, which just ended up backfiring. This whole thing is like, the whole campaign is trying to appear cool to these, like, groyper fucking psychos. And it's just so weird and alienating and off-putting to, like, the vast majority of just average people. I really think he was just trying to impress these, like, fucking loser podcasters that he was talking to. People have been pointing out that strangely the Beto calf cramping lady is good on Palestine. I think that's beautiful. She follows me. She retweets me a bunch. So to me, that's an indicator of whether someone is good. If we're wondering whether someone is good or bad, I think that's a good example. Is whether they follow and retweet me personally. So I saved her. Exactly. I influenced her. I influenced her into having good politics. Speaking of Palestine, Corbyn made, to no surprise, remains incredibly based. I'll take a look at that in one more segment. Let's look at this Trump tweet, and then we can talk about that, because there's all kinds of news and horrors that we can and should discuss, especially in the context of this, like, new tone. The new tone coming from the Democrats, from the Kamala Harris campaign. Meanwhile, Israel's dropping, like, knife bombs and committing yet another horrific massacre that we're all supposed to pretend is, like, normal. And you have all these people like Keir Starmer and all these folks saying, like, oh, it's because of Iran and Hamas. That's why there's no peace negotiations. Hamas is withdrawing from these peace negotiations. Meanwhile, Israel just literally assassinated their top negotiator. And apparently it's their fault that these peace negotiations aren't progressing, while Israel is dropping knife bombs on more innocent people. It really is another depth of horror. It just never stops. It never stops. It's been months of this. So we'll take a look at this latest Trump thing that he just posted, and then move on from this, and we can talk about that a little bit more.
Is New York's Donald Trump running for president? He bought full-page ads in 3 East Coast newspapers today stating his views on foreign policy, and these ads will win him a following. In the ads, he says, there's nothing wrong with American foreign policy that little backbone won't cure. And he says, we have
American
no
foreign policy
business
famously lacking
broke in the Middle
backbone.
East, protecting ships that are not ours, and oil that we don't need.
Rumblings in the Trump camp point as far as the presidency.
Somebody has to help this country, and if they don't, the country and the world.
See, he's still running against feeble Biden. I'm sorry, sir, that's not what's going on anymore, though. This is the ad they cut together when they were running against feeble, dying Joe Biden. Unfortunately, that's not the reality anymore for this guy.
Are in big trouble. Because within a short period of time, as sure as we're sitting here, there's not going to be a country and there's not going to be a world.
This is a current ad. He just posted this on Twitter like a few minutes ago.
Of running for president, and if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally.
Together we will determine the course of America and the world for many, many years to come. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. That all changes starting right here and right now.
Here's what I'm confused about. You say this whole thing, oh, the powerful have like borne the riches and the people have paid the cost, whatever it was. He was president, though. He was president. This is probably coming from one of his speeches from when he became president. But like, what happened? What did he do? What did he do about any of that stuff? What did he do about fixing these discrepancies? He didn't do shit. It was more tax. Guess what? It was more tax cuts for the wealthy and artificially juicing the like fake stock market that affects nobody in real life. Like, you were literally the president. You're making the political outsider speech after you were president. 87 Trump wasn't much better. It's true. Although wasn't that around the same time that he was like accusing people of like race-based crimes in the New York Times and trying to get them like lynched, basically. So maybe that's not the best way of phrasing that, but he's going to pass another tax bill. That's how we're going to fix this whole problem. We're going to do some more tax cuts and cut regulation, cut that red tape around industry. Like that's all it is. How do you sell people on this idea that you're going to help the forgotten man when you were actually the president and you didn't fucking help the forgotten man at all? That's what I don't understand.
Because this moment is your
That's pretty much all he has. That's all any conservative has. Whether it's Trump, whether it's Pierre Poilievre, no matter who it is, that's all anyone has. That's all they've got. We're going to cut taxes on the wealthy and cut regulation and red tape to unleash the innovation of industry and all this stuff. And racism. That's the whole thing, no matter who it is.
Belongs to you. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer.
Trump leading in 5 of the 6 most important battleground states. Biden continues to trail Donald Trump.
You're not running against Biden,
also
sir.
shows former President Trump with a 30-point lead over his nearest rival.
The Republican primary is over.
Donald Trump basically has this nomination locked up.
Everyone is listening to you now. I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down. My fellow Americans, our movement is far from over. In fact, our fight has only just begun.
I will fight for you with every breath in my body, he says.
I'd like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol.
Sorry, because I had forgotten. It's so funny that this is like his most recent tweet. I just find that very funny. I will never stop fighting for you with every breath in my body. Instantly, the day after his most devoted followers try to overthrow the government on his behalf, instantly stops fighting for them. Instantly stops fighting for them right away. I often tell people I'll never let them down, and then I proceed to let them down. It is very relatable in that way, I guess, on that sense. We have all been there in a way. That's true. Immediately just said, new phone, who dissed white supremacist mob? Exactly. I will never stop fighting for you. Except if I might get in trouble, or it might benefit me somehow to stop fighting, and in that case, I might stop. If people get really mad at me, or I might get in trouble, then I will consider stopping, definitely. Every breath in your body would be like 1 or 2 breaths. I mean, I just remembered when Trump had COVID, which was one of the funniest things to ever happen. And remember, he went back and he took off his mask, And he was like obviously struggling to breathe. He was trying to like project strength, and he was like struggling to breathe. I'm sorry, man. I got too high. I forgot to pick you up. Yeah. The painful breaths. With every painful breath that I have in my body, I'll fight for you. Fuck, that was funny. Okay. I'm just gonna try and find. I'm just trying to find some coverage of this yet another Israeli massacre that's happened. Because we can sit around and dunk on Trump all day, and I think it's funny to do. I don't like Trump or JD Vance. I don't think Trump or JD Vance would be good for people to be elected. I don't think it would be good for foreign policy. I don't think it would be good for domestic policy. I don't think it would be good for marginalized, racialized people. I don't like these people. I think it's funny when they're upset and when they lose. But one thing I won't do is sit here and pretend that like Kamala and Tim Walz are some kind of like these great people, you know? Without the context of this war on Gaza, I would be more willing to make this argument, especially after the Tim Walz pick, that maybe they might be able to do some good stuff. But when they're subsidizing this absolute monstrous violence and criminality, we're going to still talk about that. Like, I refuse to get on board with this notion. I understand why some are doing that. I get that it's like being in the whole American political landscape is pretty fucking depressing, and people want to have something to latch onto or support or feel good about. But I'm not going to, when they're subsidizing some of the horrors that we're seeing, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that that's not going on. I'm just finding a decent news story for it. I mean, there's a BBC story on it. I can't imagine that's going to be great coverage. I'm just trying to find some footage that's going to be appropriate for it. Some updates straight from the ground. I'm not even sure. Okay, here's a good angle here. So I've got the story about this school bombing. I've got Kamala's response. Kamala had a response to it today. And I also want to take a look at this to get us started here. To talk about this whole the way that the Western leaders, like Keir Starmer, we got a joint statement from the leaders of France, Germany, and the United Kingdom on the Middle East. And the way that they're framing this like peace process, and why this peace process is not happening while totally absolving Israel of any responsibility in preventing that peace process from happening. In not only the horrors that they're unleashing in Gaza, but literally assassinating top Hamas officials. Political officials, the lead negotiator in this peace process, and this is not mentioned in this statement. It says, we, the leaders of France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, welcome the tireless work of our partners in Qatar, Egypt, and the United States towards an agreement on a ceasefire and the release of hostages. We endorse the joint statement of Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, President Sisi, and President Biden calling for the immediate resumption of negotiations. We agree that there can be no further delay. Why is it delayed, though? That's an interesting question. We've been working with all parties to prevent escalation, and we'll... Jesus Christ. We've been trying to prevent escalation by totally backing Israel and sending them weapons. And we'll spare no effort to reduce tensions and find a path to stability. The fighting must end now, and all hostages still detained by Hamas must be released. Nothing about the hostages in Israeli torture camps being released, though. You'd think that would maybe be a bit of an impediment to this peace process. It's only Hamas, apparently. Still, with all the information that we have, there's literal footage coming out of these like torture and rape camps, which have been going on for decades. You can go back decades and decades and find similar accusations that this stuff's been going on in Israel. You'd think maybe some of those hostages being released might be a part of this peace process, but it's only Hamas. It's only Hamas that takes hostages. The people of Gaza need urgent and unfettered delivery and distribution of aid. We're deeply concerned. We wish to stop the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, says the man adding gasoline to Leatherface's chainsaw. We are deeply concerned by the heightened tensions in the region and united in our commitment to de-escalation and regional stability. In this context, and in particular, we call on Iran and its allies to refrain from attacks that would further escalate regional tensions and jeopardize the opportunity to agree to a ceasefire and the release of hostages. Once again, we call on Iran and its allies to refrain from attacks that would jeopardize this peace process. That's fucking insane. It's only Iran and its allies that's engaging in attacks that are jeopardizing the peace process. The word Israel is not mentioned in this statement. The word Israel is not mentioned once in this statement about this peace process. They will bear responsibility for actions that jeopardize this opportunity for peace and stability. No country or nation stands to gain from a further escalation in the Middle East. That's the joint statement from France, Germany, and Britain. Zero mention of Israel. Zero mention of Israel. And in fact, we have Kamala Harris just a few days ago saying she, of course, supports Israel's right, still 10 months into this thing, still supports Israel's right to, of course, defend itself from Iran-backed terrorist groups, which has not been what has been happening for 10 months, as they've just been engaging in massacre after massacre after massacre, killing tens of thousands of children, and just like the absolute genocidal horror that's been unleashed. They're still saying this kind of shit. And what I don't understand also, this is like, and I've talked about this many times, but rhetorically, the way this plays out each and every time, this whole thing, like, of course Israel can assassinate and murder members of Hamas, either the political leadership or just like Hamas militants on the ground. But does Hamas or anyone in Palestine have the right to assassinate Israeli officials or attack IDF targets, even if however many civilians are caught in the crossfire? Apparently not. And it's really interesting, this dynamic. I've been talking about it for many months now, but it never ceases to amaze me, this dynamic where this one side has this unrestricted ability to assassinate whoever they want to defend themselves, but this right of self-defense just is not applied to the other side in this conflict, right? You'd think if you have a conflict, you have two sides that are doing two things to each other. But one side is being provocative, one side is acting in self-defense, one side has the perpetual right to bomb whatever hospitals, schools, infrastructure, little kids, assassinate political leaders in other countries, whether in Syria or Iran, whatever. But this right, apparently Hamas or whatever other resistance group, does not have any kind of right to assassinate Israeli officials who are monsters, who have huge amounts of blood on their hands, more than any resistance group like Hamas could ever hope to have. Is Netanyahu a legitimate target for assassination, or Ben Gvir, or any of these fucking genocidal freaks? Are they legitimate targets for assassination? Apparently not. And apparently when Israel does engage in this kind of activity, it doesn't jeopardize this peace process, but Iran-backed militant groups do jeopardize it. They can assassinate the negotiator of the peace deal and then still have allies say, I can't believe you guys aren't doing a deal with us. They're walking away from the table. Can you believe this? It's like they've destroyed the table. They've blown up the table and everyone's sitting at it. So in this context, though, of this statement from August 12th, just earlier today, which is amazing, coming days after this school bombing, about, one more time, Iran and its allies, we call on them to refrain from attacks that would further escalate regional tensions. Does bombing a school and murdering hundreds of people with a knife bomb? That is the question. Does that exacerbate the issue? Does that heighten tensions? Does that jeopardize the peace process? Is Israel, maybe by assassinating top Hamas leadership and engaging in yet another grotesque massacre at a school, is that deliberately prolonging or undermining the peace talks? You would think so. I would say that it would be when you engage in this kind of monstrous crime at a school, or when you assassinate the top political leadership of the people that you're fighting. I think that does undermine the peace process, but you wouldn't know that from listening to our political and media leaders here in the West. But here's Al Jazeera talking about this.
At the attacks carried out by Israeli forces on schools just this month. On August the 1st, the Dalal al-Maghrabi public school in eastern Gaza City was bombed, killing at least 15 Palestinians. 3 days later, at least 17 Palestinians, including children and women, were killed in an attack on Al-Hamna School and Al-Huda School, both shelter displaced people in the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood west of Gaza City. 30 people were killed on August the 4th after Israeli warplanes bombed Al-Nasser and Hassan Salameh schools in the Al-Nasser neighborhood. And then on August the 8th, Israeli planes bombed the Abdel Fattah Hamouda and Zahara schools in the east of Gaza.
Yeah, or when they attack Lebanon or Syria or other countries, while they're also doing this mass slaughter in Gaza, in order to get Iran and other countries to react so that we can broaden this thing out. I think that undermines the peace process as well. Yeah, they're very clearly, it's been months of this, Matt. They're very clearly trying to expand the conflict, and the allies just shrug. They don't just shrug, though. They blame anyone else but the responsible party for undermining this peace process. No, I didn't see that, Old Dutch, but if I've got time, we can take a look at it, because that sounds painful to read about and watch.
City, which housed thousands of displaced people. 17 civilians there were killed. Well, the Qatari Foreign Ministry has released a statement saying that we strongly condemn the Israeli occupation's bombing of a school in the Gaza Strip. We demand an international investigation that includes sending a UN team to investigate the occupation's targeting of schools. We call on the international community to protect the displaced and prevent the occupation from implementing its plans to forcibly displace them. Let's bring in Hassan Barari. He's a professor of international affairs at Qatar University. Today he's with us live from Amman. Mr. Barari, good to have you with us. Exasperated, I think, is what most analysts are by this ongoing targeting of either UN facilities or UN schools or something that is UN in Gaza, where Palestinians are sheltering or looking for safe haven. There just isn't anywhere.
What are you going to do, vote for Trump?
Yeah, this is part of the dominicide.
And I think important to point out, like, I don't know if this is going to be mentioned in this piece. I hope it is. More than 100 Palestinians killed during dawn prayers. This is not just a bomb, though, that explodes. It's a bomb that shoots out knives that kill and maim anyone in the surrounding area. Like, just the absolute grotesque monstrosity of this massacre on top of the now countless other massacres we've seen for 10 months. And you contrast that with the way it's talked about by our political leadership, and it makes you feel fucking insane. This discrepancy.
Yeah, this is part of the dominicide that Israel has been committing against the Palestinians.
Sorry to keep interrupting this, but I just want to read this as well. There's a super large IR literature on invulnerability that basically argues that a nation that faces no risk from its actions is likely to act unreasonably, giving them unlimited ammo, Iron Dome missiles, and American military support against Iran all make them invulnerable. They face no risk from their actions, so they can do whatever insane thing they want. And in fact, the U.S. government just signed another weapons deal to send them more weapons just the other day. And that's the thing. Of course, they're invulnerable, Pelicans. Like we talked, like Rafah was supposed to be a red line. That was the big thing. Remember the red line. We can't have a Rafah invasion. We're drawing a line in the sand there. That's our red line. Look at images coming out of Rafah now for the last couple of weeks. It's completely destroyed. The red line. Biden specifically says red line. That's where it is. And they deliberately, immediately go way beyond that red line. No consequences. No consequences. And all these like progressives in Congress that are trying to walk this line between talking about supporting Gaza, supporting Palestine, and also being like, oh, by the way, vote for the Democrats. They were saying that's when they were building power to do. They built power so they could cash in their chips at those moments and say, Mr. President, sir, we've supported you. They're crossing your red line. Stop sending them weapons now, or maybe just do something. And what did they do? They didn't do shit. They did not do shit. They've sent more weapons now. And they're blaming Hamas and Hezbollah for undermining the peace process. So yeah, of course they're acting like there's no consequences, because there literally are not. With both parties, totally bipartisan. 100% bipartisan. Zero consequences, no matter who wins this election. They had not entered any population centers. They only entered them with knife bombs. It turns out the red line is still intact when you don't have like a invasion of personnel, but you just invade the area in question with knife bombs. Then it's actually okay, according to the U.S. government.
Been targeting hospitals and now schools, back-to-back targeting of schools. And this is a reflection of an Israeli mindset that wants to make Gaza really a hard place to live in. And this is also part of the pressure to put on Hamas in order to give in any future talks. But at the same time, if we put this in a wider context, it reflects that Israel has been acting in bad faith when it comes to the talks that would be held probably in next Thursday. And we have seen this movie before. So every time there was a talk about peace talks and about truce, the Israelis would do something to undermine the effort. And I think this is clear this time that Netanyahu is trying to preempt the talks on next Thursday.
What do you make of the lack of international condemnation when it comes to attacks like this? It's not the first time that we're seeing this. In 10 months, we've seen, hundreds, if not thousands of attacks like this. But, when you have one that's as large as up to 100 and maybe a lot more, because that death toll will rise with those that have managed to reach hospital but perhaps won't survive, it does make you wonder where the leaders of the world are in trying to rein in the attacks that civilians are experiencing in the Gaza Strip.
Then we say, oh no, our junkyard dog got off the leash as it went over the line as we feed him treats.
The international community and the inaction, these reflect one basic reality that everybody else in the world is looking at the United States to do something, to step in and make the difference. But we know that the United States won't do this for domestic reason and for also their alliance with Israel. So they don't see the Palestinians as the humans. They talk about numbers of people who were killed and injured, but at the same time, just if we just see the things from different perspective, if this happened in Europe, then the Americans would be up in arms, condemning and doing something. But when it comes to the Palestinians, I think they adopt the Israeli narrative in terms of the way they paint the Palestinian as a terrorist group and then should be dismantled from Gaza. So as long as the Americans adopt this position and this perspective, we can see the international community do anything independently, and that's why indifference would continue for time to come.
Some might observe these ongoing negotiations as a bit of a political dance, really. Time and time again, we keep hearing there's a renewed push for a ceasefire, there are new talks going on.
And worth pointing out as well, while we're talking about Israel, not Hamas or Hezbollah or anyone else undermining this peace process and this whole thing about we need to get the deal done. That's what Kamala is saying. We need a ceasefire. We need to get the deal done. When, as we all know, there could have been a ceasefire on October 8th when the United States government is arming Israel, and they're continuing to do so despite all of this shit. All the massacres, all the crimes that we've seen, all the horror that we've seen, they're still arming them. There would be a ceasefire if they stopped doing that, which they could do at any time. They could do at any time. They could stop arming Israel, and then there would be a ceasefire because they wouldn't have the fucking weapons that they need to do it. So just this whole idea of we need to get this deal done. Oh, it's a political dance. We need to have this negotiation. There would be a ceasefire right away if America stopped subsidizing this and stopped arming Israel, which they're still continuing to do. And Harris has given every indication that she'll continue to do.
And yet, just as we also hear that the negotiating parties and the stakeholders are just about to sign on the dotted line, Israel carries out another devastating attack that inevitably kills that conversation. It's a tactic, isn't it?
It is.
They need those weapons. Tell us how they defend themselves.
We argue that we are closer than ever to reaching a deal.
They need to defend themselves using knife bombs from people praying in a school and little kids sleeping in tents and people in hospitals and stuff. It's true. It's a very scary situation that they need constant help with. Hey, Lucid.
And we know now for sure
defensive knife bombs.
That Netanyahu is not really a genuine partner to any truce or any peace talks. He's using this in order to
those children may have learned. That's one of those schools is where children learn to hate Israel. Well, what would fucking give them that impression? That's the question we don't ask sometimes. I can't believe these Palestinian kids are learning to hate Israel. Well, where are they learning that from? Where are they learning this lesson from? Perhaps this shit might have something to do with it, but I don't know.
Internally, especially the families of the hostages, he wants to be seen as if he's doing something or as the prisoner and hostages are a priority for him, when we know they are not. But at the same time, he plays into the hand of the ultra-national right-wing component of his government, and without them, he can't really hold into power. And he listens to them by perpetuating the conflict, by committing atrocities in order to make sure that any...
So Pelican says it was not a knife bomb. It was a GBU-39 smaller diameter glide bombs. That still sounds pretty bad. I don't know. I'm not a huge bomb weapons expert. And judging from the horrific images of this attack that we've seen...
We're inside the
doesn't seem like there's that much of a difference, or even worse. Okay, even worse.
By the Israeli forces against innocent civilians who were simply offering dawn prayers. More than 100 Palestinians were killed and dozens more were injured.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to show this.
Where hundreds of Palestinians were sheltering was targeted
like this is absolute horror.
By a number of missiles fired from Israeli
How many more horrors do we have to see?
The extent of the damage is clearly visible. Blood splatters on the floor, pieces of cloth, even body parts, and people are still looking for the remains of their relatives.
I came running to search for my family. My father was killed and my brother's legs were both severed.
This was like 2 days ago, Hansenberg.
died as martyrs.
I am now on the upper level of the mosque. It was also targeted by an Israeli warplane. You can see the hole where the missile penetrated the roof on the lower level. Dozens of women were praying on the lower level and were killed and injured. These are some of the parts of the missiles fired from Israeli jets on innocent displaced civilians sheltering here in the school. Despite the danger, many families have returned to the school and the fact they have nowhere else to go.
My son is suffering from lung fibrosis. We hardly survived the attack. I carried my son and ran for our lives. By the time I got down, I saw hundreds of dead bodies, blown to pieces, even scattered outside the school building.
Who's undermining this peace process? You would think maybe we could accurately describe that as the country that's doing this shit.
We have nowhere to go, so we returned to the school, where the most basic necessities of life are totally absent.
This is the scene at the Al Tabeen school where displaced Palestinians were sheltering and the Israeli military committed this massacre.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest.
And this is from, I believe, yesterday. Let's see this new tone in action from the country that's been sending them these weapons this whole time and then continues to do so.
You know, yet again, there are far too many civilians who've been killed. I mean, Israel has a right to go after the terrorists that are Hamas.
No, they don't. Like, what the I can't fucking believe they're still saying this, honestly. Like, look at, like, think about the images that we were just looking at. And she's still leading with this. While trying to perform this kind of like empathy. Like when it's been 10 months of nonstop massacres and horrors like this, how can you still say they have the right? But they have to do it in a better way. They're not going to do it in a better way, Kamala. This is what they're about. This is why October 7th happened in the first place. This is the exact reason. This is the exact reason Hamas exists, because of this shit, because of what we're seeing, because it's been decades and decades and decades of this. I can't believe she's still saying this. Honestly. And we still have to pretend that Hamas is, they have this right, they deserve to just be killed if you're part of this group. This group that's comprised largely of orphans, like people that have had their families murdered, their parents, their brothers, their uncles, cousins, sisters, wives, husbands, whatever. That's why they're part of that group, which Kamala Harris, woke girl boss, Yas Queen mother, thinks just deserve to just be killed with no trial or no consideration. And she's trying to perform this empathy, and you're still saying this shit. It makes me feel so fucking crazy. Honestly.
But as I have said many, many times, they also have, I believe, an important responsibility to avoid civilian.
Yeah, well, they're not doing that, though.
Look, first and foremost, and the president and I have been working around.
When do you, how many more chances are you going to give somebody? Well, they have an important responsibility to avoid civilian casualties. How many more fucking chances are you going to give them? After 10 months, they're not doing it. This whole thing of they need to be looking at, they need to be doing better, more calculated. They're not doing it. They're obviously not doing it. They very obviously do not give a shit. And she knows it. We know it. The people in the media know it. Everyone fucking knows it. But we still have to do this dance and just say these words and just still pretend like this is somehow normal.
We need to get the hostages out. We need a hostage deal and we need a ceasefire. And I can't stress that strongly enough.
If you need a ceasefire, then stop sending them weapons. It'll be a ceasefire.
It needs to get done now.
Any reaction to the Trump campaign saying it's been hacked?
Thanks.
Just sickening. Just absolutely sickening. Fucking grotesque country. Both Israel and the United States government. Yeah, then do it. They're your puppet. Like, what the fuck? Like I said, how many more chances do you need? How many more chances do you give somebody? Hey, please stop killing people for 10 straight months. Can you just do us a favor and maybe stop killing so many people? And they just keep killing people over and over and over again. Massacre after massacre after massacre. Horror after horror. Crime after crime. They're still doing it. And she's still saying, well, they have a responsibility to... And this is what happens with Israel a lot, right? Where we talk about this fantasy version. We've created this fantasy version of Israel that we're talking about. That doesn't exist. You know, when people say like, oh, Israel, Zionism, all that is the ability for Jewish people to have self-determination. No, that's not at all true. That's not at all accurate. We see what Zionism is. We see it in those images from that school. That's what it is. But people talk about this idea of it, this idea that does not exist, and it has never existed. That's the thing that most people around the world are realizing right now, that this fantasy version of Israel has never existed. It's not just like, oh, Netanyahu. Now that Netanyahu is in charge, now it's bad. It used to be okay. No, it's always been this. It has always been this from its entire inception. And you have these powerful political leaders, either in politics, in the media, still talking about this, like in this fantasy version. Still saying, oh, we expect them to do this, or we expect them to follow this. They're not doing it, lady. They don't give a shit. And then we're supposed to pretend that, like, we're so excited about Kamala and Tim Walz. Can you believe it? We're so excited about Kamala and Tim Walz, and they're still doing this shit. Oh, there's this new tone. There's this new tone. And you know what? I'll cop to feeling like, well, maybe, possibly, there's a chance for a new path, regardless of what Kamala's history has been. Maybe there's a chance they're going to do the right thing. And I was trying to speak it into existence. I wanted it to be true, despite how completely unlikely it is. And lo and behold, it's the exact same shit. Lo and behold, it's the exact same thing that we've been seeing for decades. It's reminiscent to the idea of America. There's no historical idea of America. There's the America that existed and no more. Well, Dr. Magnet, it's like that's that quote. Like the purpose of a system is what it does. You know? After a certain point, you just have to accept that this is what these things are meant to do. Man, it's just like, it's been I don't know how any of us still are sane at all. It's been 10 months of this exact same narrative happening over and over and over and over again. It's really just infuriating, honestly. Like, it's just infuriating. And then, then the performative empathy. Oh, I'm just so devastated by these images. But then pivoting immediately, obviously Israel has the right to defend itself still. 10 fucking months of this. It's been 10 months of this every single day happening. And they're still saying the exact same thing. And they're still sending Israel the weapons that they need to do it. And yeah, we want to get this deal done, get this hostage deal done. Of course, the Hamas hostages, not the hostages that Israel's been keeping in their torture camps for, decades. They're not part of that conversation. They're devastated that the images exist. They're not devastated by the murder of the real people in the images. Or if they're devastated by it, they're devastated because it hurts their re-election chances and it makes them look like fucking monsters, which they are. We see your suffering. It breaks our hearts. This death should end and continues saving billions of dollars more in aid to the genociders. Or just, weapons, billions of dollars in aid that's meant to be spent on weapons, or just sending the weapons themselves. Either or. Like a lot of moderates, she doesn't seem to have any political ideology of her own, so the fact she's surrounding herself with people like Walls is a very small step in the right direction. Then again, the best way to contain a threat from the left is to give them a do-nothing job like VP, so that may have been her intent with choosing him over Shapiro. Yeah, and there's no evidence that Walls, even though he has taken some decent foreign policy stances over the years, has any kind of an inclination to do anything about this either. Tim Falun Gong Walls. It's just, I feel insane because we've been watching these exact kinds of clips for now 10 straight months and nothing is changing. Nothing is stopping. Not real evidence that Walls is left, merely that he knows what is good for his career, and free student lunches, etc. were good for his career when all he had to do was sign. You know what, risk inverse? I think if you want to describe Tim Walls, he's kind of like an old school liberal. He's an old school liberal that believes in some social spending, and American politics is so fucking rancid that now comes across like this crazy radical position when it's used to be mostly commonplace to have liberal politicians that stood for those kinds of programs. And now when someone does stand for those programs, it's like, oh wow, look at how left they are. There's nothing left about it. These are just these used to be just standard liberal positions. But America has shifted so far to the right for decades that it seems like this crazy difference. Yeah, he's just a New Deal Democrat, and not even. He's still like to the right of probably most New Deal Democrats. I nearly had a breakdown the other night thinking about how unconscionable that we're closing in on a year of this genocide. I know it's been insane. And we've talked about it like maybe not every day, but like most days. Like that's been the number one topic, obviously, that we've discussed on this program since October. And U.S. foreign policy is right-wing no matter who's in charge. Exactly. You can't vote for a different foreign policy. It's just not an option. Which makes all their, lectures about democracy all the more hilarious, considering how it's completely bipartisan and just totally impossible to change through the electoral system. Their fucking grotesque criminal foreign policy. Hence why every American president is a war criminal by default. Yeah, exactly. And the last time there was a president that tried to carve out a different sort of policy or tried to like eliminate or do what they could to deviate from this, like the way that's been their politics had been totally captured by this military industrial complex, despite being an imperialist himself. Let's go take a drive through Dallas, Mr. President. That's what happens. And then ever since then, no president has fucking dared to even attempt to do anything about this.
Israeli attacks in Gaza have killed 142 Palestinians in the last 48 hours, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. The official death toll now stands
the Hamas-run
at just
health
under
ministry,
40,000, with over 92,000 people injured. However, the true number of dead is likely far higher, with many thousands of dead unaccounted for. Figures from the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics show Israeli forces have killed 1.8% of the Gaza Strip's population since October, with 75% of the victims under the age of 30. Among the deadliest single attacks in Gaza came early on Saturday morning when Israel bombed the Al-Tabayin school in Gaza City, where thousands of Palestinians sought shelter. Officials in Gaza say over 100 Palestinians were killed in the attack, many of them while they were praying at a mosque inside the school. Most of the dead were dismembered or disfigured beyond recognition. According to Manda Weiss, doctors have collected body parts and are handing over plastic bags filled with 70 kilos of human remains to family members of those killed whose bodies cannot be identified. Meanwhile, CNN has confirmed.
But it's Hamas and Hezbollah that are undermining the peace process. Don't retaliate, or else you undermine the peace process.
It was the latest attack in what the United Nations Human Rights Office called the, quote, systematic attacks on schools, unquote, with at least 21 Israeli strikes on schools, each serving as a shelter since July.
Yeah, Matt, earlier we went over Walz's weird China stuff earlier.
Al-Tabayin school also came 2 days after the Biden administration notified Congress it's preparing to provide Israel with an additional $3.5 billion to spend on U.S. weapons and military equipment. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of Palestinians have been forced to flee the southern city of Khan Yunis and sleep on sidewalks and streets after the Israeli military ordered more evacuation orders in the city early Sunday, including in part of a previously designated so-called humanitarian zone. The latest order follows similar directives issued by the Israeli military in the eastern regions of Deir al-Balah in central Gaza and other parts of Khan Yunis Thursday. The vast majority of Gaza's population of 2.3 million people have been displaced, often multiple times. Khan Yunis had already suffered widespread destruction during an Israeli air and ground offensive earlier this year. For more, we go to Gaza, where we're joined by Palestinian journalist Sharouk Eila. She runs Ain Media in Gaza and joins us today from outside the Al-Aqsa Hospital in Deir al-Balah. Sharouk, thank you for joining us.
The loss of life has been too high, as you've said. Here's some more bombs.
On the Israeli school and mosque on
10 months
Saturday.
of this.
How significant this was with the killing of about 100 people.
Hey, Emmy, I'm devastating to talk about such topic that happened on Saturday, that we woke up in a very heartbreaking news of targeting a school, which is a shelter for almost 600 displaced people from the Gaza City and the northern part of the Gaza City as well. And those people who sought shelter at this school, believing that the schools are safe areas, which is absolutely not. And this attack, the Israeli war plan attacked the school with 3 rockets lifted behind over 100 pieces of people. I'm seeing pieces because nobody were able to recognize the full body of their beloved ones. Like, they scattered in pieces, and also it's not also about the 100 who got killed in a cold blood as well. There are also thousands who left severely injured. Like, among those injuries, there are lots of amputations as well. Let me say, the attack happened during the Al-Fajr prayer, which is a dawn prayer, like that is almost at 5 a.m. And after this prayer, most of the...
I saw a video of a little Palestinian kid yesterday with no hands and no feet, who had like a quadruple amputee. Is the #1 source of child amputees in the entire world. And we're supposed to see those images and still accept this fucking line about Israel's right to defend themselves against Hamas and Hezbollah terrorists. And we're supposed to pretend not to understand exactly why groups like Hamas and Hezbollah exist in the first place. And we're supposed to pretend not to understand why October 7th happened in the first place. It's so stupid. And it's just evil. It's just pure evil.
The people, the displaced people, decided to stay at the mosque to recite Quran, and the massacre happened.
Now, can you respond to what Israel is saying, that it was some kind of Hamas headquarters?
It's all fucking Hamas
Human
headquarters.
Rights Monitor said Sunday.
Like, again, and I know Amy's not engaging at this, but it's just like, at what point do you just stop believing when they say, oh, it's Hamas headquarters? They literally say that about every single place that they bomb, every single massacre, every hospital, every school, every UN aid outpost, that's what they say every single time. Like, at what point do you just stop believing someone? When somebody repeatedly lies about something over and over and over, you have to eventually just stop believing it first and foremost. Not what, you don't wait for evidence, you don't wait for an investigation. You understand that it's a lie as soon as it comes out of their fucking mouth, because that's having basic pattern recognition. If there are Palestinians anywhere, it's suddenly a Hamas headquarters. There's a Hamas headquarters underneath every single slain child, according to Israel. Exactly. And they still expect people to believe this, and people still do. That's the even more shocking thing.
A list provided by the Israeli army of alleged targets at the school include individuals who were killed in previous attacks and civilians who opposed Hamas.
Look, like each severe attack, we used to hear that same narrative from the Israeli side, that this massive attack that left lots of injuries and casualties, that there is always something that is saying that Hamas is behind all of these. But basically, when it comes to the footage and when you look deeper at the losses and the names, you see just innocent people, mostly kids and women as well. So let me say it's just normal. We are getting used to such speech from the Israeli side, that wherever attacks happen, there is that excuse that there is Hamas beyond this. But you know that Gaza is full of, it's overcrowded with people. Like, it's almost like 200.5 population, and for sure those people, they are innocent. They are holding hopes, like to live in peace, and nobody wished for a war, you know. And if you are switching for the southern part of the Gaza Strip, in the past 2 weeks, the Israeli army issued multiple evacuation orders for the Rafah area, Khan Yunis area, Deir al-Balah area, and also Nusayrat, and also even though the north, like lots of evacuation orders, like every day that happens. Like, you imagine, like, you are suffering to find a spot to set up your makeshift tent and find the access for water, for bathrooms, and for essentials. And then eventually it ends up with immediate orders of evacuation, and the only thing that you can do at such a moment is just to flee and run for your safety along with your family members, leaving behind the essentials that painstakingly you gathered with time and money. There are people that I know that have been displaced so far plus 15 times.
They had a civil riot because of their right to rape.
The latest news of the possibility of ceasefire talks being renewed. Hamas said they want to abide by the Biden proposal, ceasefire proposal, in May. Are talks, what is your understanding of, are talks going to resume in the response of people on the ground in Gaza where you are?
Let me say, each time we hear the ceasefire talks, each time we hold that hope that it will work out eventually, like even though it's never happening on the ground, but you know, people here are tired to that level that they're stuck with every tiny sense of hope that it will end very soon. And after pointing the replacement for Hamas leader Sinwar, despite that people are with or against this option, still they are hoping that this change will bring and pay back the results of having a ceasefire on the ground.
I also want to ask you about the killing of Palestinian journalists. It pains me to do this as you stand there with your press flak vest with the clear words "press" on it. Israel bombed the home of the Palestine TV journalist Tamim Ma'mar in Khan Yunis on Friday, killing him along with his wife and 2 of their children. A separate airstrike on the home of Al-Aqsa TV journalist Abdullah al-Susi killed him and 2 of his nephews. This follows the killing of Al Jazeera Arabic journalist Ismail Al-Ghul and his cameraman Rami Al-Rifi on July 31st. Your husband, the journalist Rushdie Siraj, was killed in an Israeli airstrike in October. You've taken over the leadership of AIM Media from him. Talk about the latest killing of journalists in Gaza. The number now at this point, well over 100 journalists killed.
According to the Ministry of Health, like almost 100 plus 160 journalists got killed. Most of them, they were directly attacked by the Israeli army. And frankly, I'm saying this in a very obvious word that I prefer, whenever I go for filming and coverage, I prefer not to wear the press vest, because I started to believe that this press vest is a threat and we are targeting because of it. It's never protecting us. It's not only me, it's the same feelings that we all journalists are sharing with it, that we're tired of being followed and being threatened and being attacked. And what we are doing is just screening all the massacres on the screen, like in front of the media, like. And somehow I feel we are in need for the access of foreigner journalists to come in and join us during this coverage. Maybe they have some words that left that we did not say so far, and it's good to hear the reality from other mouths, you know, because like everything has been featured on the screen. We have been slaughtered in the screen like since almost plus 10 months so far, and nothing is happening on the ground. It's just all about following and attacking more and more journalists. And I can say that it puts more pressure on us, especially when it comes to your family and your friends and even the people outside in the streets. They are somehow feeling that we are threatened and afraid of walking by, like because we are holding a camera or wearing a breast vest, and it's never a secure feeling that we should feel, especially at just timing of genocide. I think there is a need to make more pressure in the media.
And then little kids playing.
For foreigner journalists to come in
spite of
do
everything.
More coverage and help
Little
us
kids
in
still out there
serving
playing
the
with each
world.
other. Oh, Jesus Christ. But listen, like, we've been talking about this, like, U.S. election. We've been talking about Trump. We've been talking about J.D. Vance, all this shit. You know, we got to talk about that. We're going to continue talking about it. Again, I don't like these guys, but we can't allow ourselves to pretend that, like, there's this page is being turned or this, like, great thing is happening when we see the excitement forming around, like, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. This is what the Biden administration under Kamala Harris has been supporting for the last 10 months. Everything that Kamala has said about it over the last couple of weeks indicates that that's going to continue. And this is not some like cagey political thing. Like, she's saying it's going to continue with maybe a slight different change in tone, a slightly more hand-wringing. That's all. So we're not going to stop talking about it. Do you have any California chatters? Apparently there was just a big earthquake. I'm seeing chatter there was a big earthquake in California. Hope everyone's okay. Hope everyone is all right. Well, folks, I'm gonna have to get going pretty soon. I got to pick up my kid from camp fairly soon. Going on 3 hours and 30 minutes into this stream. It's been a good one. I got to be honest. Like, I always feel really crass pivoting from talking about this absolute horror show to then like trying to get subs on Twitch TV. It just makes me feel fucking sick, honestly. It makes me feel really gross. I will just remind people, if you want to support this program, please subscribe if you can. I'm going on 3.5 hours into doing this show. I do this show every day. I imagine that it's been helpful for me to do it. I hope it's been helpful for people in the community. If you want to support this show, please subscribe. I'm at 12 out of 35 subs, which is a little tricky, a little rough. That's one of those days that I probably would have been better off like doing almost anything else. So if you can, please subscribe. I don't really feel like turning this into a big jokey segment where I employ all my various little japes and jokes and stuff like that to try and get the number to go up and talk about the friendship triangle and all that bullshit. I know we have fun with that. I don't really feel like doing it right now. But I do have to get going soon, so if you do want to support this show, please subscribe if you can, or gift subs or bits or whatever it is. Help me keep this show on the air. Help support the work that I do here on twitch.tv. I would appreciate it a lot.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Dr. Maggot, thanks for the gifted sub. Appreciate it a lot. Nace Zero, thanks for the 23 months. 1 month away from your 2-year sub badge, golden sub badge. Very cool. Thank you for that. Von Krokenbush, thanks for the gifted sub as well. Very first gifted sub in the channel from Von Krokenbush. Thank you for that. I appreciate that a lot. And thanks Risk Inverse as well for 3 gifted subs. And I like you, Risk Inverse, you've really helped me out a lot with your support, and it means a lot to me, and I appreciate it a whole lot. Thank you for that. If we got any other takers here, you got a couple more minutes. I'm going to find someone to raid out to here. But as usual, thanks so much for everyone for supporting the show. You know, we talk a lot about like the number and all that stuff, but it remains true that this show would not exist without this community and without people supporting it. So, even if it might not seem like it, I do appreciate it a lot. And it means a lot to me that there's people out there that support the work that I do on here. I missed most of the stream, started talking with a new neighbor. Well, how dare you, Diego? Converse.
You can count
Converse
on me
with people in your community.
to talk you through all this.
Not acceptable. It's not acceptable that you did that, I'm afraid. And thank you, Diego. Okay, I guess it's acceptable.
To talk you through all this.
It just became acceptable. Thank you, Diego, for the gifted sub, and thanks, Chaos the Gardener, as well for 2 gifted subs. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you for that. How dare you have an IRL interaction? Online only. Online only. Who do you think we are over here? What do you think this is? I hear you all in chat. I feel you all in chat. Good. I'm glad you're listening and learning. I'm glad you're listening and learning, Diego. Thank you. Slacktivism only. Exactly. So I am going to raid out in just a moment. We are a mere 14 subs away from the goal. So if there is a brave hero out there that wants to tell me to get to the sub goal for today, it's still possible to do that. It is still possible to do that if there's a brave hero that wants to support the work that I do on here. It is within reach. So if there's someone out there, whoever's watching, if you're a lurker, if you just got brought here and you want to help me out by dragging my ass across the finish line for today, it's still possible to do. We got a big siren.
Use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Some fire trucks going by here. I'm watching, waiting, commiserating. Say it ain't so, I will not go. Joe, thank you for the 100 bits. What are you going to do? Chit chat with your neighbor? What's next? Becoming friends? Building communal spirit amongst your neighborhood? Organizing politically around that communal spirit? Mobilizing around common interests? Where does it stop? Where does it stop? The only thing I say to my neighbors is please subscribe to Rob Rousseau on twitch.tv. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Maggot. That's the kind of attitude that I like to have. Are we going to get a Hurstwood Blink cover album? I don't know about that. I'm sure I could put my own spin on some of those songs, but I don't know about that. I haven't really been making any music, honestly, Brandon. I had like a lot of stuff that I'd been working on over the years, and I had some extra time and some emotional trauma I had to get through, so I had like the motivation to do it. I haven't really been doing much though for the last couple of months. Much better to have only parasocial relationships. No risk of them developing into work. Exactly. The fuck's going on out there? It's like a weird kind of alarm, a weird kind of siren that I've never even heard before. Release the files. I have released the files. I got a whole Bandcamp page. I got like 8 tracks on there. It's the Thought Police. The Thought Police are finally coming to get me. Okay, well, if there's not a generous 14 sub gifter out there watching, I guess I gotta get going now. But not bad. Not so bad. I will be back tomorrow, and I believe, barring any kind of unforeseen circumstance, this should be a full week of streaming. I should be here tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. For the first time in a little while. Thank you, Carnova. Thanks for stopping by.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
What the fuck's going on? Must be a fire or something. Dr. Maggot, thank you for a gifted sub. Got to make it an even number. I'll take it. I will take it. It would be crazy if someone else subbed, and then it would be odd. It would be an odd number. So thanks again, chat. I'll be here tomorrow. Noon at the latest. Okay? Noon at the latest. We're back on track, baby. We're back on track. Yeah, Sean's great, Diego. I really appreciate him. Anyway, thanks again, folks. Take care, all right? I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace out.